And you could interact with us, and also you can join us for our social media platforms. Leave a comment, and we will interact with us. And just now, we have seen a short video to talk about the mystery of Sanxingdui. And this morning, we are actually following up of the progress conference organized by State Administration of Cultural Relics. And also the leader of the archaeological team and other experts have given us an update on some of the latest discoveries. And now we will continue our special coverage, the 6-hour coverage. And of course, we will pay more attention to the new discoveries of the Sanxingdui cultural relics. So please stay tuned and join us for this special coverage to unveil the mystery of the Sanxingdui cultural site. So after 35 years, the discovery in Sanxingdui once again drew the attention from the world. And in the meeting just happened this morning, I believe we have already found some of the new discoveries. And there are a lot of impressive achievements made in the past. So in the past, we have only 2 sacrificial pits, and right now we have 6 sacrificial pits for excavation. And also from the number 3 and number 5 excavation, so we are ready to discover some of the items buried inside of the earth. And this time, we are also discovering some of the bronze face mask, and this time the mask is different than of the mask discovered in number 1 and number 2 sacrificial pits. And also we found some of the vase, the round-shaped vase and the square-shaped vase. And this is quite different from other civilizations, for example, the Erlitou civilization and other kinds of civilization. There may be some similarities of these wares, and also we have found some of the silk as well. So today we will give you more updates on the discoveries from the Sanxingdui, and soon we will be connecting with some of the experts. And first of all, we will reach to a researcher from the Archaeology Institute of China. So right now we have already have Professor Xu with us. Good afternoon. Welcome to join us for our special coverage to unveil the mystery of the Sanxingdui relic site. And this morning, actually, we gave a live streaming about the progress conference hosted by the National Administration of Cultural Relics. So we have a general understanding of the new discoveries. Some of the viewers are very interested about these new discoveries. And also some people are saying it feels like we're opening 6 blind boxes. They're talking about we are trying to find some of the new discoveries from the 6 sacrificial pits. And right now we have a general understanding of what are these burial objects inside of the pits. So I want to understand from an archaeologist, which aspects do you pay attention to? Over 30 years ago, we have found 2 large sacrificial pits, and also we have resolved some of the mysteries of the Sanxingdui civilization. For the archaeological investigation, of course, we want to identify the dynasties and the period of all of those relics. In the past decades and in the 2 sacrificial pits we discovered, we are not sure when these pits were discovered, and we hope we can find out the dynasties and periods from the findings coming out from the 6 sacrificial pits. And also people may be curious whether the Sanxingdui people actually the same group of people from the Jinsha site and any correlations. So we need to find more information to better understand this connection. So by doing that, we can unveil the mystery of the correlation between the Sanxingdui site and the Jinsha site. Also, you are the director for the archaeology team for Xia and Shang dynasties, and also you are responsible for the discoveries in the Erlitou civilization. And this time, for the discoveries, we found some of the vases in the square shape and the round shape. So I believe these relics may have some correlation with the relics from the Xia and Shang dynasty. Is that so? From a macro perspective, if you look at the Sanxingdui, speaking of the Chinese culture, we all think everything pieced up together. However, before the Qing and Han dynasty, right at the beginning, actually we are quite diverse in the civilization. So we would say there were different kinds of civilization in different areas, different districts. However, when we enter into the Bronze Age, even though we see the rising of the emperor of the Central Plain, but it is not sufficient enough to cover all the other kinds of civilizations. So we would say it's quite diverse in terms of the civilization. It's all over the places. And for this civilization, and then it comes to the age of the Bronze Age. For the two sacrificial pits found in Sanxingdui, actually it belongs to the age of Yingxu. However, it is not relating to the later stage of the Shang dynasty. So during this process, there may be some places that have the civilization of unique features. So it is quite common that this culture and this civilization have some relations with the Chinese civilization, because this civilization have some collisions and have some exchanges. And then we form this Chinese culture and Chinese civilization. And also, for Sanxingdui, we found some of the relics that relates to Yingxu and also the later Shang dynasty. So I think it is very important for us to understand the dynasties for those relics. So when we come to the Sanxingdui civilization, and then we see some of the elements from the Erlitou civilization. And if we understand the dynasties for the Erlitou civilization, then we may have some speculations about the exact time for the Sanxingdui civilization, and also we can consider the time periods for the Baozun civilization. So for the two sacrificial pits in Sanxingdui, we actually found some of the relics related to the Erlitou civilization. So we think maybe for these two sacrificial pits, it existed in the Yingxu period. And we will compare the different dynasties, and also we will look at the features of the dynasties of the Shang dynasty, and then we can have a better understanding of the Sanxingdui civilization. And in the morning conference, we also see some of the highlights of the archaeological work. And actually, Professor Sun have the same idea with you, because we need to pay attention to the period, the time period, and the dynasties of different civilizations. And right now, we have a variety of bronzewares and relics coming out from the Sanxingdui. And if we look at those relics, maybe it may have some impact for us to identify the period and the dynasties for the Sanxingdui culture. So we have different kinds of sayings about the Chinese civilization, and we all believe that the Chinese culture is quite diverse. And this actually shed light for us for the new discoveries from the Sanxingdui site. Yes, actually, we do have a different development stage of the Chinese civilization. We are not directly entering into the age of Sanxingdui, and for the Bronze Age, actually we started from Erlitou civilization. And the early stage of Sanxingdui, we have the Bronze Age, and then the Bronze passed down to the Sanxingdui. So this is like 3,600 years ago. And when it comes to the Yingxu period, it is about like 3,200 years to date. So when we enter into the Yingxu period, and then we found these two sacrificial pits of Sanxingdui site. So at that time, the Chengdu Plain has officially entered into the Bronze Age. So this is the general concept. We have another question. That is the relation between the Jinsha site and the Sanxingdui civilization, because we do excavate a number of relics that have similar features with the relics coming out from the Sanxingdui site. Can you give us some analysis and tell us more about the connection or correlation between the Sanxingdui culture and the Jinsha site? Well, actually, we are taking a very random way for the naming. Sometimes for the discoveries, we just found them by accident. At the beginning, we named 12 civilization and the Sanxingdui civilization. And sometimes we will call it Jinsha civilization. But for some of the civilization, even though they're titled with different names, it does not necessarily mean it is two complete different civilizations. But every time we found a new item, we may see a stronger tie between the two types of civilization. And different scholars may have different interpretations about these civilizations. And right now, people are still discussing whether Sanxingdui civilization is the same as the Jinsha civilization. So far, it's still open for discussion. Personally, I tend to believe there's a closer tie between the Sanxingdui civilization and the Jinsha site civilization, because we do see a recession of the Sanxingdui civilization and then the rising of the Jinsha civilization. It is not necessarily a replacement of the civilization. Maybe it is a change, a transfer of the civilization from one place to another. Actually, this is a very complicated issue. So for myself, I think there is a closer tie between these two civilizations. And this time, we have discovered 6 new pits. And I believe we could find out more information from these 6 sacrificial pits to help us better understand this relation. But we should not depend on only 1 or 2 major discoveries to resolve all the historic issues. For the archaeologists, we think we have to tell the truth based on the evidence and the proof. We need to have sufficient information and documentation, so this is a long procedure for us. So this time, many media platforms attach great importance to the mystery of Sanxingdui.
So on the one hand, we're going to discover more artifacts and relics, and we can feel how profound and time-honored the Chinese civilization is. On the other hand, we can feel the spirits of a lot of archaeologists, just like people from you, and you're very meticulous and very strict in terms of scientific research. So there's a lot of spirits that we can draw from you. And so thank you very much, Professor Xu, for joining with us. Later, we're going to bring more about the excavation to our viewers. So now we're going to get connected to Professor Chen Jianli from Peking University's School of Archaeology. So Professor Chen is online, and so hi, good morning. So A big welcome to Professor Chen. So welcome to join this 6-hour long live program on the excavation of Sanxingdui. So this is a big event in the world and also in the history of China's archaeology. So I have a lot of questions. We know that the relics of Sanxingdui have given us a lot of bronzeware. A lot of them are very extravagant in terms of design, and there are a lot of interpretations, and people say that maybe people living in ancient times, they also eat hot pot, and there are also some bronzeware that resemble the shape of alien spaceships. So maybe some people are saying that there are some connections between the Sanxingdui civilization with aliens. And in the morning, we had a seminar. A lot of the experts have a lot of discussion about how to understand the Sanxingdui relics and civilization. So can you give us more insight about this? So why should we believe that Sanxingdui is a domestic local civilization of the Chinese nation? Thank you very much. From the bronzeware that we unearthed from Sanxingdui, I can tell you that they resemble the shapes and designs of the relics that we unearthed from northwest China, and some of them are very different from the shapes of bronzewares unearthed elsewhere. Well, I don't personally believe that it has any connections with the alien civilizations, but this tells us that the relics unearthed from Sanxingdui is generating a lot of charms and attractions, and this is the charm of archaeology. And for a lot of the relics that we unearthed, we had a lot of questions, and so it is very important that we identify these objects so that we can have a bit of understanding about how the ancient life was like. So to answer this question, it requires a lot of archaeological surveys, and we need to embrace the scientific spirit, the scientific way of thinking, and scientific attitude. Rather, we should not indulge ourselves in this superstition that there is some sort of connection between the Sanxingdui civilization with civilizations in other galaxies. So we have to engage in some very meticulous research. We have to use modern technological tools so that we can better understand this phenomenon and these objects, so that we can understand the connection between these objects and the secrets lying behind. And the biggest charm of archaeology is that we are able to disclose our research findings in front of the public in a way that the public accepts. So there is a lot of charm in the process of excavating those ruins and artifacts, and this is something we have been doing for a very long time. So we have a lot of respect for different views. On many different occasions, I call on all the experts to actively respond to a lot of the public views and opinions so that we can encourage the public to get engaged in archaeological findings and research so that we can do better in cultural preservation. Thank you very much, Professor Chen, and your response shows what confidence you have as an archaeological researcher. So I need to hold you there for a few seconds because we have connected to an expert who just participated in the seminar. So we're now getting connected to the head of the team, Lei Yu. Good afternoon, Lei Yu, and thank you for joining us. And in the seminar, we noticed that you gave introduction, and you said that a lot of the media paying their attention to this event, and so we are having a lot of information going viral online, and you shared with us a lot of the new findings. For example, bronzeware. The bronzeware quality is much better than pit 1 and pit 2, and you also mentioned two different silks, and you also mentioned these golden facial masks. In some other materials, we saw that it's very heavy, and it's heavy. How did you know it's heavy, and did you weigh it, and what are the other highlights? We're talking about the golden facial mask. So when it was unearthed, half of it was destroyed, but the other part was kept intact. And so we measured its size, and its weight also was bigger than any of the golden masks unearthed in pit 1 and pit 2. In pit 1 and pit 2, all the golden masks were attached to bronze figures. So this is our understanding. But this golden mask is independent. So that is why it's a lot bigger. So this is what we have found. And also with respect to bronzeware and silk products, are there any highlights? So for bronzeware, it's mainly unearthed from pit 3. The quality of the bronzeware was much better. And we have two sets. One of them is not very delicate, but the other set is very delicate. So maybe it came from two different craftsmen, and so this is a very good phenomenon actually. And for the design of the bronzeware, it's quite different. For example, if we talk about the very large bronze box, it was never unearthed from pit 1 or pit 2, and so this is something very exciting. For silk, so it's not two different types of silk. Actually, silk was discovered from pit 3 and pit 4. And we unearthed silk from the soil that we dug up. And it's not a substantial object that we unearthed from the pit. So you have measured the existence of silk fabric, and you talked about other objects, and we connected to researcher Xu Hong, and he is very excited, and he believes there is some connection between Sanxingdui and Erlitou. So for the very small piece of discovery in Sanxingdui, there is a lot of attention from nationwide. So what do you anticipate is the major focus of our work going forward, and what excitements can we expect? So among the 6 pits, for 3 of them, we have entered into the layer of relics. So first we have to guarantee that the work can be conducted, can move forward in a very smooth manner, and right now we have a lot of support from those facilities and technologies, but still we are going very slow, and for the other 3 pits we are still digging up the soil. So we are trying our very best to use all the tools and means possible to collect information from the artifacts. This will be a very lengthy process, and it requires a lot of meticulous labor efforts. All the people working on site have been very exhausted. So we understand this is a very lengthy process, and so we have a lot of expectation on each and every discovery along the way. And so you have been engaged in archaeological research in Sanxingdui, so you are a very authoritative expert. And but for this time we have many different findings, and so we're going to do a better job in preserving and protecting those relics. So from your own experience, can you tell us what are the progress that we have made in cultural relic preservation? So compared with 30 years ago, it's quite different nowadays in terms of the method and tools that we use at the National Archaeological Bureau. Under this part of the National Archaeological Bureau, we have formulated a work principle. The working principle is basically follow science, engage in preservation, embrace interdisciplinary cooperation, and also the teamwork of many different teams. So it's under this guidance of this principle that we are making headways in excavation. And in the 1980s and 1990s, there wasn't such a clear notion of preservation. But right now, we are on the site 24/7, and we're working together with many different teams from different disciplines. Interdisciplinary collaboration is one new feature, and the Sichuan Archaeological Research Academy is working together with more than 30 research institutions and universities and archaeological institutions. We're using a lot of the high-tech tools to empower our efforts in all the different dimensions. So we are not just looking at the bronzewares and artifacts themselves. We are also looking at the soils bearing those artifacts. So generally, we don't analyze too much of the soil that is covering the artifacts. In the past, we only analyzed those very useful informations, for example, biological and animal-related information in the soil. But right now, we are using more advanced tools to analyze the soil that is covering the relics. And for all these soils, bearing the artifacts in these 6 pits, we are analyzing this soil and we are bringing them into a big warehouse. In the future, we are going to organize more experts from other disciplines to engage in all-dimensional research. So our warehouse is very big, and you can see that layers and layers of shelves filled with soils, but we are treating them as artifacts, and we attach great importance to them, and we cannot accommodate too much soil, but we are right now expanding our warehouses. So we are putting in a lot of those very useful findings in those warehouses. So from what you just mentioned, and I heard that right now we have great social and economic developments. We also have major headways that we make in cultural preservation, and in the past, it's the archaeologists who do the excavation in the first place. But right now, from the very beginning, we are featuring interdisciplinary collaboration from the first place. And also this year marks the 100th anniversary for the discipline of archaeology in China. And 30 years ago, the Sanxingdui relics gave all the Chinese a new understanding of the traditional Chinese civilizations. And what significance can you make of this excavation? Personally, I believe that this will benefit us in improving our thinking, technological tools, and already this is already the top-notch work format. We're using a lot of high technologies, so this is a fresh new method of archaeology.
In China, actually, we're not bragging ourselves, and so far in China, we have a very advanced method for the archaeology, and this will actually lead the other archaeologists. Thank you very much. Thanks for your hard work, and I believe all of us are looking forward to the new discoveries excavated from Sanxingdui site. Thank you very much. And just now, Mr. Lei told us from the ways of the excavation method and the concept that actually is quite advanced in China. And this time, in order to resolve all the mysteries of Sanxingdui site, we do have a reporting team in front of the Sanxingdui site, and they're also using advanced technologies and ways to bring us the live streaming. So what are some of the innovations for our live streaming? What are some of the highlights for our program? What's the difference for this time's live coverage? Now I would like to turn over to my colleague, Lu Lian and Zhang Dongjun, and they will bring us more about the Sanxingdui discovery. Dear viewers, good afternoon. I'm Lu Lian from CCTV. I'm Zhang Hongjun from CCTV. So right now we are standing in the Sanxingdui garden site. And right now you could see there are different pieces of land here. So what are those? These are actually part of the relic, and this place used to build houses. When you go closer, you could see the frame of the houses, and you could see some of the holes of the pillar. And these are all of the traces from the ancient times. And we could actually use the VR technology to see where they're living and what it looks like. And also we have an iron shelter, and that is the archaeological site. And right now many people are busy working on the excavation work. And this morning we do see there are some new discoveries. And actually just half an hour we will have this special program to unveil the history of Sanxingdui and the new discoveries. And right in front of us, it is actually one of the pile of the Sanxingdui. And also we could see our colleagues, they're actually busy in preparing for our special program. And at 1 p.m. sharp, we will start our special program to discuss the new findings from the Sanxingdui site. And this time for the live streaming, actually we have been using a lot of high technologies. And during our live streaming, we'll use the VR and the AR technology so that we can give you an overlook on how the ancient people live here. So now I would like to show you a photo. This is actually an aerial photography equipment. We have been using it in the celebration for the National Day. And soon we will show you some of these special equipments. And soon we will have an expert to give us a more introduction about the equipment that we have been using for the live coverage for Sanxingdui site. Good afternoon, everyone. And this is the technician, Mr. Zhao. So here we could see there were many equipments here. Can you tell us more about this equipment? So for this one, I think it's quite different for our live streaming for the galas because it is quite high precision. We have a high precision sensor. You could see we have 4 shafts to control the direction of this jeep. And also we have a high definition cameras, and we can collect the data inside of this rocker arm, and then we can process all of those images and videos, and then we can provide the VR scenarios to the audience. I still remember in the live streaming for the Spring Festival Gala, the length about 8 meters. For this time, I could see the rocker arm is lasting for like 16 meters. I believe this one is the most advanced equipment we have been using for the live streaming today. So right now you could see by using these equipment, we could restore the living scenario for the ancient Shu people. And also we have similar kinds of equipment in the studio. So this place is actually the relic site for Sanxingdui, and we found many holes of the pillars. And many people are guessing that this place must be the dwelling places for the Sanxingdui people. We visited here, and also we tried to restore the places and the houses for the Sanxingdui people. And we have to look at the size of the holes of the pillar, and then we have to build up a virtual building, a virtual architecture, so other people can better understand what it looks like in the Sanxingdui relic site. And with our operation, with the record arm, and hopefully we can bring our audience stepping inside of the house to understand the interior decorations of the houses. Actually, we have done a lot of work in trying to restore the ancient scenario. And actually, we have built a lot of the 3D models, and we discuss with the experts and to understand what are some of the tools and equipments used back in the ancient times, which is 3,000 years ago, so that we can better understand their livelihood. This is quite impressive, I would say. So maybe we can give you a closer look on the screen so that we can have a VR view of this area. So on the left side, actually, we're showing the real-time picture, and on our screen, actually, we have a VR scenario. So you could see all of these simulated houses that have been built on the Sanxingdui site. And actually, it is real-time. We are using the AR technology to restore these houses. So in the past, we are using the 3D animation technology to do it, and this time we are using the VR sensor, and also we have filtration technology to restore the houses in the ancient times. So also this time we are making good use of the AR technology to restore the house. So actually 20 years ago we are doing the VR, but right now we have enhanced the capability. In the past we may have some limited capabilities, maybe their computing power is not strong enough, and this time we can give you an authentic look of the ancient places and the ancient houses. So you have been doing this like 20 years ago, that's right. Especially in the sports live streaming, especially for the swimming games, when people they're standing at the platforms or when they're reaching to the finishing line, and you could see the clock and the timer. So all of these actually belong to the VR technology. So once again, first we will see a elastic, flexible rocker arm. And right now we are doing the last-minute preparation for our special coverage. And on the right-hand side is actually the camera team. So this is the camera team and responsible for the broadcast from the studios. So we have 4 cameras together with the rocker arm. And also we have the VR technologies installed in all of those cameras. And also we have the sensors inside of the cameras which can read all the dimensions and specifications. So for example, when our hosts speak with the experts, and if they're referring to specific relics, and then we can present those relics in real time to our audience. So it is quite high precision with the model. So for the live streaming, we are going to start at 1 p.m. We will have the high definition videos and high definition photos, and also right beside, right inside of the studio, we also have this AR and the VR technology, and we will show some of the relics that we used to excavate it earlier. So I can tell it requires a heavy work, and also we need to do the algorithm and also do the computing, and we need to build out the 3D models of all of those relics. So we can see all of these staff members, they're preparing for the last minute, and actually just like 20 minutes to our special show. And right now it is the last stage for the preparation. Right, maybe we could visit the archaeology site and wait for the start of the special program. Can't wait to see the special program. Thank you very much for your introduction. So when we go back to the excavation site, now you could see we are all geared up for this special coverage. And we have a studio in our home base, and also we have a setting up this live streaming station in Guanghan, city of Sichuan province. So for the camera guy, the technician guy, he said like 20 years ago he started to work on the development of the technology. Actually, I am so impressed by his dedication. So now we could see Mr. Zhu, and he is preparing for the live streaming. Can't wait to see the special coverage. I believe every one of us have to make our own contribution to bring a better life. And actually, I saw a short video. I believe you shot it last night. So I want to understand your experience because you visited the Sanxingdui site in the evening. How do you feel? Well, actually, I didn't see anything unusual. Actually, in our special coverage, we will show you some of the image and some of the videos of the relics. And in the morning session, we also release some of the new discoveries. For example, some of the gold facial masks and the standing bronze figures and other treasures. And this morning, I believe there is a meeting. They're saying for number 5 pit, even though it is not large in size, but we are able to excavate a great number of gold foil and gold face mask. And I believe all of the relics are great discoveries. And actually, we want to understand how these relics being excavated from the sacrificial pits. So actually, we are looking forward to our special program at 1 p.m. And soon we will see some of those new relics excavated from the pits. And now we are approaching to the excavation shelter. And this time the excavation is quite unique. And actually, we are using a excavation shelter, and also people are wearing protective suits to do the work. We actually built 4 excavation shelters this time, and this also represents the new spirit and the new concept for the archaeology. And this time, when I see these people are wearing protective suits, I'm quite astonished. I don't know why these people have to wear the protective suits. I believe this is for the sake of protecting the cultural relics. Maybe our working staff are wearing some of the germs, and we do not want them to contaminate some of the relics, and then we can have a better judgment of the division of the history. So I think we have to better protect those relics. And also around the pits, we also set up a protective shelter.
So this enables us to adjust the humidity and temperature, and we can also protect the relics from big wind, so it will not gather moss. So right now we're in front of the gate, and so we will be waiting here, and you can see that the researchers are ready to present us what findings that they may find today. And let me tell you again that the shelters that we built contains 6 pits, and those 6 pits are around the 2 pits excavated in the 1980s. And let me show you, this is pit number 1, pit number 2. Those two pits, they were discovered in the 1980s. So this time, near the two pits, we have some new discoveries, 6 different sacrificial pits. They are named according to the time that they were unearthed. So today I can give you a clue, because soon we are going to have a live program of 6 hours, and so we're gonna focus on pit number 3. In the morning, you saw a lot of artifacts, the golden artificial mask from pit 5, and also the bronze figure from pit number 3. If you are following us on our app, you will see that we have a vlog, and we asked the team leader to give us a brief introduction of this bronze figure. So this is also the largest of such artifacts unearthed in the world, and we also have some rectangular vessels. So it's a very important discovery. And now let me tell you more about what is on this. Pit number 1 and pit number 2, they were discovered in the 1980s. And the 6 pits that we are going to cover in this program, you can see that number 3 pit has a length of 5.8 meters and a width of 2.1 to 2.7 meters, and its acre is 14.1 square meters. And we know that there are a lot of bronze wares buried beneath. Pit number 4 is in the shape of rectangular, and right now we know that there are a lot of golden bronze ware in it. Pit number 5 is also in rectangular shape, and to our knowledge we know that there are a lot of golden objects buried beneath. Pit number 7 we have ivory, and we also have ivory and bronze ware in pit number 8. So pit number 7 and number 8, they are still not unearthed, and the researchers are reaching the artificial pit layer. And so this afternoon and the afternoon of tomorrow, we're gonna broadcast this program for 2 hours live, and so we are pretty soon in front of this official live program, and let's just stand here and wait for this program to be officially opened. And so this is quite different if you look from the outside. We have a roof above this pit, and this is very protective because, for example, today it's raining, and in the 1980s we were briefed by the team leader from the excavation team that they told us that in the 1980s they rushed into the excavation efforts. So in summer they built a plastic shelf to protect against the rain. So talking about this, it reminds me of my observation. With progress being made, I can also feel the progress made in archaeological survey. And talking about the plastic roof, I heard that in 1986, when archaeologists came here, they need to go down in a pit. And at the time, we had but one requirement: do not wear high-heeled shoes. At that time, people found out that it's very difficult to buy a ordinary flat sole shoe, and so it is with this kind of shoes that they went down the pit. But today, those archaeologists are taking elevators to go down. So this tells you how much progress we have made with technology. And just 2 days ago, we visited a lab telling us how to engage in advanced preservation of the relics, and we saw a lot of sophisticated facilities and equipment, so we can build a lot of models, and you had the conversation with the experts. So for this time, we are practicing a lot of concepts. We are excavating and protecting the relics in a synchronized manner. And later you will see how those relics are unearthed and how they are preserved. So stay tuned. We're going to start the program in a few minutes.
当历史的尘埃在考古人手中一点点拂去，我们逐渐看清了文明最初的模样。
Now we are understand the origin of the civilization. We are looking at the Chinese map. We look at the Yangtze River and also Erlitou civilization, Sanxingdui civilization. Each time when we found a new archaeological site, actually we are reviewing our history of Chinese culture. We need to understand where our civilization starts, how we form this diverse civilization in China. Welcome to our special coverage on the glamorous new discovery of Sanxingdui site. In 1986, it is the first time when we conducted the excavation work. Over 400 wares have been discovered from sacrificial pit number 1 and 2. We have the bronze figurehead and also the bronze tree. And also we found the golden mask, which shocks the world. 35 years later, we once again started the archaeological work. In Sanxingdui, we found 6 sacrificial pits and also unearthed a great number of new discoveries. We have many mysteries of Sanxingdui sites. We are looking forward to understand more about the new discoveries of the Sanxingdui relic site. Start from today, CCTV channel will bring you to the Sanxingdui relic site and better understand the Sanxingdui civilization. Sanxingdui excavation is one of the important archaeology work in China, and this morning we have held the meeting from the State Bureau of Cultural Relics to announce the new discoveries in Sanxingdui site. Start from 2019, we started to excavate 6 sacrificial pits found in Sanxingdui site. With 1 year of efforts, we have found the bronze vase, the bronze vessels, elephant tusks, and altogether we have found 610 burial objects, and the excavation work has been moving along smoothly. In number 3, 4, and 5 pits, we are entering to the layer to find the objects, especially for number 3 pits. We have found a lot of objects, and right now we are cleaning some of the earth in the number 7 and number 8 pits, and soon we will be able to find some of the relics. And the Sanxingdui site is actually located in the Guanghan, and it is representing actually the Bronze Age. In 1986, we found 2 sacrificial pits, and later we are able to find some pieces of the city walls, and we are able to find out the general layout and the framework of Sanxingdui sites. And in the past, we found 2 sacrificial pits, and after 1986, we started to find 6 sacrificial pits. So let's take a look at the screen, and those 2 in pink is the number 1 and number 2 pits, and the red represents the new discovered pits. So we named these pits from number 3 to number 8. So now you could see they're forming in lines, and also these new discovered pits are located in between number 1 and number 2 pits. And all of these are located in the same area. Let's take a closer look to all of these pits. So first, let's look at number 3 pits. The length is 5.8 meters, and the width is 2.1 to 2.7 meters, and it covers about 14.1 square meters in size. There were many new discoveries in the number 3 pits. All of these are new discoveries we have never seen before. And let's take a look at the number 4 pit. The length is 3 to 3.1 meters, width 2.8 to 2.9 meters, and the size is 8.4 square meters. And it is quite dark in number 4. Obviously, it has been burned. And right now, we need to preserve the relics. So what is the original look of these pits? So just stay tuned with us. Now we come to number 5 pit. So it is the smallest pit. The length is 2 meters, width 1.78 meters, and the size is 3.5 square meters. Even though it is small in size, does not mean we have fewer relics. Let's see number 6 pit. The length is 1.94 to 2.33 meters, width 1.67 meters, and the size is 4.1 square meters. Actually, in this number 6 pit, we found a box-like objects in the pit. And actually, the length is exactly the same as the width of the number 6 pit. So what is it? What's inside the box? Let's pay attention to this box. And number 7, the length 3.8 to 4.3 meters, the width 3.3 meters, and the size is 13.5 square meters. And this pit is overlapping with the number 6 pit. It is also very mysterious. Let's take a look at the number 8 pit. This is close to the number 2 pit. It is actually the largest pit. The length is 5 meters, width 3.6 meters, and the size is 17.8 square meters. We have just started the large scale of the excavation work in these 6 sacrificial pits. Maybe we will find out more objects. And actually, we have set up our studios just next to the Sanxingdui sites. So first, I would like to connect to my colleague, Zhu Guangquan. So Mr. Zhu, please share some of your thoughts about the Sanxingdui relic site. So hello, everyone. Now I'm standing 50 meters distant from the Sanxingdui relic site. And not long ago, actually, we just have a rain. And we have the shelter, and the shelter will protect our excavation work. And the reason I decided to do the live coverage here is because we will not affect the progress of the archaeological work. And also, actually, we are stepping on the ancient land where the ancient people live and work here. And also, we are using the VR technology to restore what it looks like in the past. So this area is about 60 square meters, and we could see the holes of the pillars. So probably people are setting up the poles to set up the frame and build the houses inside this area. And so now, today we are joined by some of the experts. People from the Society of Chinese Archaeology, Mr. Wang Wei, Xu Feihong, doctor from Shanghai University, also a member of the Sanxingdui excavation team. And Dr. Xu is actually quite young. He's born after 1990s, but right now he's a very senior archaeologist. And soon we are going to release some of the new discoveries of the Sanxingdui site. So for 2 of you, you have been working in the archaeology for a long time. So how do you feel right now? So I've been working in the archaeology for over 40 years, and it is my first time to attend the live coverage today. I'm so honored and I'm so excited. I would like to share some of the new discoveries of the Sanxingdui site so that we can better understand the glory of the Sanxingdui civilization. Professor Xu, I'm also honored to participate in the live streaming today. So soon we are going to see some of the relics, new relics coming out from the Sanxingdui site. Back to you. We are quite looking forward to your discoveries and the live broadcast. And also, we have a reporter in the Sanxingdui site. So where are you? Are you in the lab? So this place is actually inside of the shelter of the Sanxingdui excavation. It's also an innovative base in Sichuan province. So actually, it is after 35 years, we restarted this excavation work. So still, you could see the mark K1. So this is the number 1 sacrificial pit that we found in 1986. 35 years later, right next to the pit number 1, we have built this excavation shelter. So from 2019, we are able to discover 6 additional sacrificial pits. So in order to move along with the sacrificial work and also the excavation work, we are actually install some of the air conditioner so that we can better monitor the temperature. We also control the moisture to around like 80%. And inside of the excavation shelter, you could see all of these staff members, they are wearing the protective suit. So we do not want to contaminate the environment of the excavation site. And we need to find out all of the mysteries of the Sanxingdui site. And right now we are actually digging out to the layer of the objects. And also in number 7 and 8 pit, we are working on some of the earth. And right now we have able to discover some of the over like 500 pieces of new discoveries. Inside of the shelter, we also have a platform to preserve all of those relics. We have an analytic room and also try to restore some of these relics. So after you excavate some of these relics, and then you can send off those relics into the laboratory.
Here we have a lot of facilities that can help us do better with the excavation, and you can see that within the same structure we can enable and achieve cultural relic preservation and excavation. And you can see that right now the excavation is going on, and at page number 3 and number 8, what are the new discoveries that we can expect, and what are the new results of on-site analysis? Stay tuned, we're going to bring you the latest. All right, I can see that there is a lot of technology involved, and of course we can expect a lot of very big discoveries. Each relic we unearth requires preservation, and during the process of excavation, and we need to repair some of the relics. And near Sanxingdui we have a cultural relic hospital, and we also have a colleague there, and so now let's get connected to him. Hi, good afternoon. So tell us, how do you repair those relics after they were unearthed? All right, Chen Yan. So right now I'm at the Cultural Preservation Center of Sanxingdui. So I'm at an open lab that was just constructed, and the newly unearthed objects, they will be transferred here and they will be repaired and researched. In addition to those newly excavated artifacts, and actually those artifacts that we unearthed in the 1980s, they are also repaired here. And behind me you can see those archaeologists who are repairing the beast structure that we unearthed from page number 3. And you can see that it's quite sporadic and scattered, and our job is to put all the different pieces together, and in a special program later we're gonna witness this process with you all together. And in addition to this metallic repairing zone, inside this lab we also have the repair zones for pottery, for jade, for ivory. We have many different functional zones, and we are also equipped with the best technology and facilities to achieve all-dimensional maintenance and repairing of the artifacts. We invite experts from many different fields and disciplines to this lab so that we can have a collective analysis of the objects, so that we can come up with the best solutions. And you are very curious about the progress that we have here. And let me tell you, this is one major object that we have unearthed. This is the golden mask, and you can see that we can see this general design and shape, and it's just mind-blowing. And compared to the previous piece uncovered, clearly it's heavier and it's much bigger. And so how do we repair this piece of object? We're going to bring you more later in our program. And also at the display zone, you can see the specific process of repair. And we have a very special equipment. This is a smart camera, which is able to shoot the process of repairing. And it can cover all the different angles and dimensions. So we do so to bring you the latest from this lab, and so we are also expecting the new discoveries from the lab. All right, back to you, Chunyan. Thank you very much, Shuai Jinquan, for your latest report. So the Sanxingdui culture is not one developed from an isolated place, and according to our research, it's quite connected to the Yangtze River Basin and also Yellow River Basin. So what are the clues behind these connections? How can these clues be reflected from those objects? So we have a team that is working on this, and now let's bring you the latest. In addition to Sanxingdui, we have two other journalist teams in Jinsha Museum and also in Baodun Ancient Town Relics sites, who will give you the latest. And in the medium rank of the Yangtze River, we have a Shijiahe relic and also Panlong City relic. And at the downstream, we have a Liangjiatan relic and Liangzhu Ancient City relic and the China Silk Road, China Silk Museum. And also we have another journalist team in Xingan Dayang relic site. And we also found that 3,000 years ago, there is a lot of interactions between Sanxingdui and the hinterland of China. And we also have two reporter teams in ruins and in Shanxi Bronze Museums and also in Majiayao relic sites. So we have multiple teams scattered across the country to bring you the latest of their discoveries. Sanxingdui is located in Guanghan, and it's near the Yangtze River of the city. And you can see the longitude of this place. And let me tell you that the 30 degrees north longitude is very mysterious, and the bubbling garden and the pyramids and the Maya ruins are all located along this line. And so Sanxingdui is named after the 3 star pales discovered, and according to ancient material, and we have the record of 3 stars accompanying the moon. And from the ancient Mamu River, you can see this place scattered across this basin. And so the total acre is roughly 3.6 square kilometers, and this is similar to the Nanjing district. And It includes the residential area, the workshop area, the burial area, and also the sacrificial area. At the very center of this place, we have a river, and at three sides we have walls. And after thousands of years, we have only 600 meters of the length of the wall, and it's 2.5 meters above earth. And with progress of excavation in the northern side, we also discovered the foundations of the city wall. And in 2006, we found the Qingguanshan altar, and this is located on an altar that is 2 meters underground. The archaeologists, they found out that the jade tablets, stone tablets, and ivory buried here, and also among the relics, there are a lot of signs of construction and buildings, and it shows that in ancient time there were a lot of people living here. So what are the latest from the site? Now let's bring you there. What you now see is the structure built on top of the Sanxingdui relic site, and we have 4 different cabins. And right now, pit number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the in the process of excavation. And these 6 pits, they are near pit number 1 and number 2, which were excavated in 1986. And the first, let's take a look at pit number 3. So I'm joined by Mr. Xu, and you can follow our camera, and to minimize our impact on the work of the archaeologists, we are using a lot of remote control facilities. And now let's bring you closer to the excavation, and you can see that we are using this modern technology to cover this program. And you can see that we are zooming in to pit number 3. And pit number 3 is unveiled to the public for the first time through television, and you can see what is buried beneath. So Mr. Xu, Dr. Xu, can you tell us what is the progress of pit number 3? So this is pit number 3, and we call it K3, and K3 is among one of the 6 new pits that we uncovered, and in the end of 2016 it was first discovered, and it's opened the chapter of this round of excavation. And the excavation truly started in the end of January, jointly by the University in Shanghai and also the State Cultural Relic Bureau. So we can see that there are 3 bronzeware, and this is a bronze vessel. Yes, this is a bronze vessel, and in Chinese it's called Jun, and it's actually a vessel for wine, and it's very typical in China's Shang Dynasty. Among the relics discovered from Shang Dynasty, this is quite common, and this is more than 34.5 kilos, and this is the largest piece uncovered from this round of excavation. But you can see that at the top, it's basically remained intact. So we have 2 rectangular vessels. And those are also very important, and you can see that one of them is in round shape and the other is in rectangular shape at the top. I can still see the soil there. Yes, and there are a lot of questions on why we clean the surface so well, but still we see a lot of soil nearby. So we have a lot of considerations on that. You can see the pattern attached to the outside of this piece. If you want to clean all the surrounding areas, it will damage this pattern on that. And on this vessel, you can see that there are the designs of beasts and animals, and we have a symmetric pair of birds. So these symmetric pairs of birds are very typical along the Yangtze River basin, and in northern part of China it's rarely seen. In Sanxingdui cultural relic, we have uncovered 8 such pieces, and you can see the pattern, and it's very delicate, and this is the shape of catbird, and so in Chinese we call it xiao, and it's both a beast and also a bird. So It's like an eagle, and we call it the eagle-shaped vessel. But why it's an eagle? We have a lot of guesses. I believe that those animals, they were animals in mythology, and so people had a lot of worship towards them. And you can see that for this animal, we have a very pointed mouth and also long ears, and we don't know what animal it is. And here you can see this rectangular shaped vessel, and at the very beginning we saw only one straight line, and we were not sure if it's a vessel, and with the passage of time we came to know that this is a vessel in rectangular shape, and this is also quite rarely seen, and this is the first rectangular shaped vessel that we unearthed from Sanxingdui relic area. You can see that this is in a color of golden gray, and thousands of years ago it's in a color of gold and yellow. But when it's become rust, the color will also change. And so this one, the color that we see from the outside, it's still the rust, and it's the yellow colored rust. Originally we thought this is the lower bottom of the rectangular vessel, but now we know that this is quite different. It's only a foundation, a support to the vessel.
Speaking of the Zun and Lei, two kinds of vessels, is quite interesting. In Shang Dynasty, and there were tens of types of the vessels, the bronzewares. So for these two, it actually used to be served as the wine vessels. And for the Changjiang River region, they usually have this kind of wine vessels. So we want to understand why they pick these kind of vessels as the wine vessels. And right now we are seeing a strange bronze. What is that? So actually right now we don't know how to name this bronze vessel. It looks like a altar and comprising with different parts. There may be some missing parts right now. We have a foundation, and we could see two wires surrounding the altar. Let's take a closer look on this altar. On the left side, below the ring, you could see a copper wine. And also you have a round-shaped foundation, and also it is covered by the elephant tusk. So have you ever seen this kind of copper wire? Well, actually it is the first time we've seen such type. It feels like it just serves as a decoration. If you look at the right side, we have 4 pillars, and it feels like there was some patterns on the pillars. So altogether, we have 4 pillars. On the upper side, I believe these are the 2 legs of this vessel. And also we see the hands, and probably there may be legs. So it feels like it's just a human sitting on top of this bronze altar. But the proportion is quite strange. We have not yet found the head of this human-shaped figure. It's quite strange. And actually, this is one of the highlights for our excavation. And right next to it, actually, we see a bronze tree. You could see some of the trunk and the branches of the tree. So these are some of the parts of the bronze tree. So now you could see the leg on top of this vessel. And actually there were some motifs on this figure. So these are the 3 vases. And in the middle part, you could see this strange bronzeware. So our camera is moving from north to the south. And also we see this elephant tusk. And this one is the ear of a face mask. So in the middle of the pit, we have a very large size of the face mask. However, it is actually facing down to the earth. So we see these big ears on the left side. You could see parts of the facial mask, and it is actually covered by some of the elephant tusks. So we don't know what is the facial expression because this is all pressed by the tusk. I think the length is 74 meters and the width is 35 meters. I believe for this kind of bronze mask, it is the largest one. But I'm not sure whether it is bigger than the bronze face mask with the protruding eyes. Maybe it is somewhat similar in the size. So for this face mask, you could see it is face down, and it also has two big ears and a diamond-shaped eyes. And this is also a bronze figure. And you could see the eyes. And also the eyes are actually painted with the black ink. Well, all in all, the color is black. We don't know what is the element, but it makes the profile of the face is quite distinct. So in this pit, we have actually found like tens of the bronze figures here. And actually, maybe the face marks we found is the biggest highlight of this pit because it is very large in the size. And also the wonder one, the strange bronzeware is also very special. So what about this one? I could see two arms holding together and finger to finger. And actually, it takes a long time for us to discover this bronze figure. And it feels like this figure is holding one of the square-shaped plate. And also there is a vase on top of this figure. And on the stomach, there are also some motifs of this figure. And for his arms, also covered by the ivory. And some of the pieces have been broken. So at the beginning, we are not relating these two types of pieces together. But if we look closer, we could have found the foundation of this vase. And this is the ox head, even though it looks very peculiar. And also you could see some of the hookers. So probably you can put some of the accessories on this ox head. And also this is a ornament with the ox head and also a dragon's bottom. And this must be the mouth of the dragon. I think this dragon is very similar to the dragon which lays at the bottom of the bronze tree. Soon we could see the middle part and the bottom part. And for this human-shaped figure, we could see these people, they're holding their arms. I think it's a special feature for the Sanxingdui relics. So this is actually a symbol for the Sanxingdui civilization. When we are finding this pair of arms, we are quite excited because it also represents we are about to discover the standing figure of Sanxingdui. And in the past, we are actually finding a small size of the bronze figure, and that figure is holding a small vase. And for that one, the length is only around 10 centimeters, but for this one, it's 1.5 meters. It's quite astonishing, so we can't wait to see the overall view of this bronze figure. So as you could see, this human-shaped figure is actually holding the vase, meaning that the vase is actually represents the power of Sanxingdui civilization. So right now we are seeing the complete view of this pit. You could see this pit is actually filled with the relics. And right now is the operating station, and we could see some of the staff, they're actually recording some of the information of these relics, and they have to do a 3D scan. We will do it on every face. So for this one, we've done it on January the 15th, and after the Spring Festival, we are trying to scan one of the city wall, and we could see different times we are discovering different kinds of the relics. And this one is quite vivid, and you could see some of the pattern of the vase and also the bronze figures. And this one is more clear. So this is our restoration work. And this one is very clear, and we can have a rough understanding of what have been excavated from these sacrificial pits. So this is actually a way for us to restore all of those relics through the scientific technology. And by doing so, we can better preserve our relics. All right, that's it for the sacrificial pit 3. Now we move to the pit 4. And through the windows, we could see the experts, they are working on the excavation work. So actually, we see a hangar, and one of the worker is actually lying on top of this elevator for the excavation. This is actually specially made. It's a elevating platform, meaning that our archaeologists do not have to step inside of the pit, so they can do the excavation work from the platform. So this is the J tablet. In Chinese, we call it cong. And it looks rectangular on the outside, but actually it's quite round inside. This kind of J tablet is very popular in the Shang dynasty. And I believe people with higher rankings would use this kind of jade tablets. So now you could see people, they're lying on the elevating platform for the excavation. So for this pit, there may be many elephant tasks. And we have many jade tablets here. And for the one on top, it looks a little bit burnt. And the bottom one, the lower one, have a buried condition. So now you could see the archaeologists, they are wearing the protective suits. And the material is about like 80%, so it's a tough job. And we will make shifts about like 30 minutes to 40 minutes. And in the pits, you could see we have it is filled with elephant tusks. So we have used cloths to cover up all of those elephant tusks. So now you could see our staff, they are using a bamboo knife to clean the jade tablet, try to remove some of the dirt. So I believe all of these tablets look exquisite. But maybe there's no patterns or motif on top of the jade tablet. So right now they're recording some of the information about this jade tablet. Now we are in the middle part of the excavation shelter. We are just past the sacrificial pit number 2. On the left side, it is actually the number 8 pit. The number 8 pit is the largest one in size. We use the metal sensing technology, and we believe there are many metals inside of the pit. This is the information that's coming out from the sensor. Maybe we are able to find out some of the goldware from the pit. On the left side, actually they're excavating the stone tablets. I believe this is one of the weapons in Shang dynasty, but it is not jade. I believe it is a white tablet that would be used as the weapon. So I think in late Xia dynasty, people would use this kind of weapon as the sacrificial offering. This also represents the power of the holder. Now you could see the size is very big. Have you ever seen such kind of stone tablet? No, this is the biggest one, I believe. And some of these tablets are made from jade, and this one is made from stone. Well, this one is the jade tablet. But in the rectangular one, I believe is the burnt brick. And actually, in the number 8 pit, we may see some of the construction elements. We are finding some of the pillars, wooden pillars, and some of the red earth. And it's quite different from other pits. All right. We will leave number 8 pit. And we just have a general idea of each one of the pit, and later we will have a detailed discussion about the excavation work. Now we are paying a visit to the pit 5, 6, and 7. So right now they're still digging out some of the earth. I think the progress for the excavation is quite different for each one of the sacrificial pits.
So from the section view, you can see the different layers of earth. So what about the earth dug up? I heard that you are collecting them. Yes. But for what purpose? So our understanding is that those soil are very important, and we have to collect them. And on the other hand, right now we are having very basic rudimentary understanding about the soil, and later we may have more advanced technologies and tools, and we're going to analyze the soil and the earth. So because in the earth we can analyze the plants and also proteins, if it's bearing animals or human beings, and then it may have a lot of fat contained in the earth. So this is pit number 2, and the most striking feature of this pit is that it has a wooden box, and this is never unearthed before, and so the width of this wooden box is equivalent to that of the pit. And this wooden box from this side, we already dug up some of the earth, and some believe this is just a coffin. We had a lot of doubt because we have never unearthed any wooden box. So we can see this file paper, and what is that for? This is for protective purposes because the wood has been carbonized, and what you can only see is this earth in the shape of the wooden box, and we haven't found any bones of human beings or animals, but we are going to conduct analysis over the soil and the earth, and maybe we can find some black-colored carbonized elements. So our experts will look into the soil, and as for what is contained in the soil, we are expecting the results, which can be released in a matter of days. So now let's move on to pit number 5. So although it's small, it contains a lot of shining objects, and you can see a lot of golden pieces, and we can see a lot of golden foil. So what is golden foil? So golden foil is gold suppressed into a very thin layer, and some of them are very long, some are in rectangular shape, and they're not randomly placed there. And we have identified some shapes, and on each foil we can see a hole. So maybe it's connected together, and maybe it was the ornaments of a wizard, and maybe it can give you this very reading feeling. And so compared to copper and bronze, gold in ancient China, it was not the mainstream relics, and in Sanxingdui, pit number 1 and number 2, we unearthed 850 grams of gold. So gold is part of the culture of Sanxingdui from the very beginning stage, and we found that already 360 grams of gold was uncovered in this pit alone. So it has already surpassed the gold that we unearthed from pit number 1 and number 2. So what is the blue color one? This is the ivory after burning, and at the very beginning we thought this is ivory, but after some analysis, it may not be ivory, and we are still looking forward to finding the answer. So what are the other secrets? And now let's ask Zhao Jing, who is on site at the pit number 5. So right now we are outside the pit number 5, and through this glass you can see what is happening inside, and you can see that our archaeologist is operating on this platform, and this is a hovering platform above the pit. So this can minimize the contact between the human being and the artifact, and you can see him using the tool in his hand, cleaning bit by bit the soil attached to the object. So this is a test of patience and endurance, because the smaller pieces of foil are only equivalent to the size of our fingernails. So that is why he's using a very tiny bamboo-made knife, thus minimizing the harm to the golden files. And because of the difference of height, he can only kneel down on this hovering platform, and they are taking a shift of 30 to 40 minutes. I asked some of them, if you suddenly stand up, do you feel this dizziness? Well, they told me that it's not just dizzy, and they can feel this pain at their kneecaps. And also they told me that they feel time is flying when they were working on the platform, because they are very engaged and they want to present to the public what they unearth. And now let's hold our breath and just wait what discoveries that they may present to us. So Dr. Mao Yongchao is beside me, and let me ask Dr. Mao, so what are the major relics that we have unearthed from pit number 5, and what is the current status of the progress? So pit number 5 was still at the stage of cleaning the soil around the relics, and the pit number 5 is one of the smallest, but it has presented a wide ranging of relics, and we have identified 2 very important relics. The first is the golden facial mask. At the very beginning we thought it was very exciting, and when it was demonstrated we were just astonished by the design and by the craftsmanship it embodies. And the other very important piece of object that we unearthed is a 30 centimeter long bird shape. So it's unveiling its true shape to the public, and because of the long passage of time, we didn't see the tail and we didn't see the main body of the bird, but we came to gradual understanding that they are using certain very abstract design concepts. For example, they are using just a line to represent the tail of the bird, and we also unearthed a lot of golden files and ivory and jade and a lot of inscriptions, and we're currently cleaning those objects. So this is the current progress. All right, we also look forward to more discoveries, and I was just told that in pit number 4 they can expect the discovery of some jadeware. All right, Zhao Jing. So we saw the very radiant golden pieces of foil from pit number 5, and so we are now in front of the Sanxingdui shelter, and now let me bring you the latest about the repairing of the golden facial mask at the Sanxingdui Museum. So we are a few kilometers.
金面具。那么这个金面具呢，可以说它非常的厚重，直观的感受呢让人非常的震撼。尤其和1、2号坑的这个金面具相比较的话，显得是非常的厚重，明显它的厚度和它的重量都会不一样。那我们的专家呢，也是在进行这种1、2号坑和这次发现的金面具的一个对比研究哈，我们来了解一下究竟在怎么样进行这种修复的研究。马老师，那打扰一下您，咱们看到您正在进行这种研究，现在通过前一阶段的这个修复，现在金面具它是呈现出了一个什么样的一个面貌呢？
通过前一段这个阶段性的修复之后，这个金面具的轮廓基本上已经出来了。我们现在也把它跟这个前面1、2期的进行一个比对，很明显的能看出来它的这个艺术这个风格哈是非常接近这个1期的。包括它这种宽鼻、阔嘴，然后它菱形的这种眼眶，正好跟青铜的这个立木都能够相匹配。包括它的耳朵，是老百姓老说千里眼、顺风耳，感觉它这个耳朵非常能够听到远方的声音哈，
对，
很遥远的。所以就整个的这个风格来说，我觉得是很接近他们这一
对，风格很接近哈。
对，
那有没有什么不一样的地方和前期我们发现的这个金面具相比的话？
应该可以用一个词叫惊艳啊，就是它的这个尺度，它的整个的量。
You can see that it's very big in terms of size, and it outperforms the size of the golden facial mask discovered from pit number 1, and also it's very thick, and we measured the thickness, and for the pit 1 golden mask it's 0.1 millimeter, but right now it's doubling the thickness. So it's truly radiant, and it's giving this golden glow of color. And so why is it this color? And it's quite different from the color that we have imagined. From the color perspective, we made a lot of contrastive analysis for pit 1. We analyzed that it contains 85% of gold and 30% of silver, and there are some other elements contained. And as for the radiant glow of the color, I believe it did very good in polishing the surface. So 3,000 years ago, people knew how to polish the surface. Yes, 3,000 years ago, the gold and silver craftsmen, they were able to pressurize and also polish the surface. So how does that help your repairing process after learning those knowledge? Well, before we repair this piece, we have to have good knowledge about its composition of gold and silver, and then we will know how soft it is. We also need to correct its shape. We have to know how much gold and how much silver it contains, and this allows us to give very perfect repairing method. So this is very sophisticated, and we know that when it was just excavated, it wasn't like this. What was it like when you just uncovered it from the pit? So when it was in a pit, it was pressurized, and it's attaching a lot of soil and earth, and you can see that in the nose there's a lot of earth, and it's pretty solid, and we have to dig them up bit by bit on the surface. We have to handle the corrosion. After that, we have to cleanse it and clean all the earth, and then recover its original shape. So the wrinkles are very important, because the wrinkles there, they might be the patterns on the surface, and they might be a result of corrosion and pressuring. And so we have a lot of very experienced experts in that, who are experienced in making golden and silver pieces of ornaments. So they attach a lot of importance to details, and when they are recovering that, they make sure that the original shape wasn't damaged. So that is why eventually we see a very successful piece of relic. And thank you very much for your introduction. And we heard that in ancient times, people were able to polish and pressurize the surface of golden files and golden facial masks. So we are right now at the Restoration Center of Cultural Relics. It is here that we are joining with you, expecting the new discoveries from the Sanxingdui.
Thank you for my colleagues for the introduction about the relics from the Sanxingdui site. And from the Sanxingdui site, we are going back to the studio in Beijing. 35 years ago, we started to excavate the relics once again. Sanxingdui woke up to impress the world. So what mysteries will be resolved? And what history will be uncovered? And today, we have a Professor Jinsha from the Archaeology Institute of Beijing, and also he will join us to discover the mystery of the Sanxingdui site. So we just look at the Sanxingdui site, and we are quite impressed by the relics that are coming out from the site, and it's quite shocking, I would say. As an archaeologist, you are also participating in the excavation work. What impressed you most? So after watching the live coverage, I could see each pit is amazing, and each one of the bronzeware is very precious. For example, the rectangular vase. For this kind of vase, we have never found it before in the sacrificial pit. It is the first piece of the unearthed piece from the Sanxingdui site. We want to understand where is the origin of this piece and what it belongs to the civilization. And also, I remember the bronze figure that is holding the vase. In sacrificial number 2 in 1986, we used to unearth one similar one, but that one is quite small in size, only 10 centimeters. And this time, the bronze ware is about 1 meter. And I was wondering whether we have more similar type of the bronze statues. So we are just looking at these bronzeware of different shapes, and we are quite excited about our new discoveries. And actually, the charm of the archaeology is discovery. I think this time we are just actually discover a little small portion of the treasures. I can tell all of the archaeologists feels like detective. So you are trying to find out different pieces, and then you put it together to unveil the history. So actually, for each one of the archaeologists, they used to call themselves detective, because we need to find out the evidence, the proof, and to unveil the history. And right now, we could see different treasures of different shapes. And what is the differences for the treasures coming out from these 6 pits as compared to the previous 2 pits? And this time we think that these all 8 sacrificial pits are of the same nature. First, if we look at the location, all of these 8 sacrificial pits are in the same area. And also, if you look at the shape and the size of the sacrificial pits, it feels like they are forming a complete picture. And also, if we look at the burial objects unearthed from these 6 sacrificial pits, we have the bronze figure, we have the face mask, we have the elephant tusks. If we compare these objects with the objects from 1986, most of them are similar, even though there may be some differences in the new discoveries. So we think for these 8 pits, they are dug out by the same group of people from the same civilization. That is my speculation. There are many mysteries about Sanxingdui site, and some people are asking whether the Sanxingdui civilization is an alien civilization or an outside civilization. People are wondering what are the functions of the sacrificial pits. So this time, with the excavation work, are we able to resolve all of those mysteries? Well, this time, with the new discoveries, they must able to solve some of the mysteries. And I think there are many significance. From a big picture standpoint, it actually testified the history and also enriched the connotation of the history and bring some of the historic things to reality. For all of these sacrificial pits, they actually represents the civilization of the ancient Shu kingdom, and also the discovery of the Sanxingdui sites, also one of the greatest archaeological discovery in the world. This will also contribute to the progress of the Chinese civilization. If we look at the exact discovery from the Sanxingdui site, in the past, we have done some research on the sacrificial pits 1 and 2. Some people are saying these 2 pits are sacrificial pits, and some people are saying they're just 2 regular pits. And people are speculating maybe they first damaged all of those offerings and then they buried it in a pit. And also there may be some arguments about the division of dynasties. I believe this time we will collect more information to understand the civilization of Sanxingdui site. So once we have a new discovery, maybe we can resolve some of the mysteries, but also it will bring in new challenges. And I believe with the new discovery, we were able to bring more people to study the ancient Shu civilization. So that's why we always think with the discovery, we are able to attend to more mysteries and address more challenges. After 35 years, we will continue our work for the excavation, and the new discoveries impress the public and impress the world. And people may ask why we are not able to identify the 6 sacrificial pits 35 years ago. So this is the excavation shelter in Sanxingdui site. And behind me is the number 1 pit, and K2 represents the pit 2. And also we are building some of the shelter workshop, and inside of those shelters, we are able to find 6 additional pits. So in 1986, we are able to find over 4,000 bronze wares, including the bronze figure with gold mask, the bronze trees. So even though sleeping for thousands of years, when it wakes up, the Sanxingdui site impressed the world. And the archaeologists also done a lot of work for the other discoveries in the Sanxingdui site. We have excavation work in different periods. In 2004, we have established a platform to protect the 2 sacrificial pits we found earlier in 1986. And with the build out of the shelter, actually we cover the other 6 pits that's not able for us to discover the new pits. So, however, later on, when we are carrying the exploration work, we are able to identify additional pits next to the pit 1 and pit 2. So for the distance between the pit 1 and pit 2, it is only 30 centimeters. And later, we are able to find another large pit next to it. And then we dismantle some of the shelters. Then we identify the number 3 pit. And later on, so we are able to identify pit 4 to pit 8. So this is, we name these pits by the time of discovery. So we have 3 to 8. So after we find these pits, we believe it will help us to restore the civilization of Sanxingdui and also to restore parts of the civilization of the ancient Shu kingdom. I believe the Sanxingdui site have its unique features, and also we can better understand the correlation between the Sanxingdui civilization and the Central Plain civilization as well as the outer civilization. I think by having these new discoveries, we are able to make some new breakthroughs. "35 years ago, the Sanxingdui relics are able to uncover a new history and also rebuild the civilization in the Bronze Age. The unique culture fever and also the techniques, and also with its romantic style of the bronzeware, also triggered our imagination. 35 years ago, we restarted the excavation work in the Sanxingdui site. We are using the innovative technology to do the excavation. Let's see whether we can unveil all the mysteries for the Sanxingdui site. Let's see if we have more shocking discoveries, whether we can fill in the gap of the history. Where does these Shu people come from? And what is the origin of the ancient Shu kingdom? How Shu civilization integrated into the Chinese civilization? We will reveal these new discoveries and unveil the mystery of the Sanxingdui site. So please join us for this exclusive coverage about the Sanxingdui relic sites. We will explore the unknown and unveil the origin. This is the special coverage for Sanxingdui relic site. Please stay tuned. So this is the special coverage on the Sanxingdui discovery. We will continue to review the history and explore new possibilities. And this time, in the 6 new discovered pits, we're able to find many new discoveries. Some of these treasures are still buried. We are not able to see what are they, but from the footage, we could see some of the delicacies of these ancient relics. With the restoration work and the archaeology work, we are able to see what they are. Even though it is a long procedure, but by taking this opportunity, maybe once again, we can review the relics that has been unearthed 35 years ago. With our live coverage, actually in pit number 3, actually we found a bronze figure that is holding a bronze vessel. Actually, back in 1986, we found a similar bronze figure, but that one is very small. Just look at the screen. This is a large image. So now you could see a human-shaped figure is actually holding a vase on his head. So for this one, it's only around like 16 centimeters. It's very small. And actually, it is on his nails on a pile. So by looking at this figure, we may have an understanding on how these people use the vessels, especially how they use the vessels in the sacrificial ceremonies. And this time, we are able to find a bronze figure in number 3 pit. It is not the first time we identified the bronze figure. Actually, in 1986, we are able to discover the standing figure of the bronze statue. And actually, the Dali figure, the standing figure, is very big in the size. So the length, the height of this figure is about 1.72 meter. If you look closer of this figure, it feels like he is wearing some kind of throne, and his eyes is looking at someone. So maybe he's looking at some of the local people who are considering this figure as a statue and a ritual statue. And also, if you look at his hands, it feels like he is holding something. So what is that? So let's see what he has to say. Who am I? The archaeologists name me as the standing figure, but it's up to you for discussion. So this is actually a restoration piece of the standing figure. So the total height is 2.6 meters, 80 centimeters as the foundation, and the height of the figure itself is 1.72 meters, and also the throne is about 10 centimeters. It is hollow inside of this bronze statue, and actually that is the largest bronze statue we have identified in China. So you could see the size is very large, and also it is very treacherous, and actually it represents the king of the bronze in the Chinese civilization. So now you could see have big eyes, and also with the diamond shape of eyes, and also large ears extending on the two sides. So you could see this bronze figure has a special style, and he is actually holding his arms in front of him. Some people are saying, I should be holding a jade tablet, and some scholars are saying that maybe I'm holding the elephant tusk. And also for the foundation, there were some heads of the divine beast.
So I'm holding a ivory piece. Perfect. This is a perfect image. There's another wild guess, which believe that there's nothing in the hand, and so there are some special significance of the shapes of the hand. And now you can take a look at the dress of this human figure, and at the outer layer we see only one sleeve, and at the central part and it's slightly shorter, and at the front and back part we have two vests. Inside it's a very long dress, and on the dress we have patterns of dragon and also worms, and so it's very delicate. So talking about my identity, there's a lot of speculations, and people believe that I was a wizard in ancient Shu country, and some even believe that I was the king of the ancient Shu country. So talking about the identity, there's a lot of mysteries. So although we just found one figure, but he was not alone maybe. I heard that there are some new discoveries, and I will leave the rest to you, and maybe you can discover more. So what is in the hands? Maybe we can find the answer later. So just now, Shuai Jinquan had a virtual dialogue with the human figure unearthed from Sanxingdui. So for this time of the excavation, we found another bronze facial mask. 30 years ago, we had a lot of bronze facial masks. What they share in common is that they have big eyes, big ears, and big mouths. And one of them is very famous, and this is called the bronze figure. And we have it virtually in our studio, and it's 66 centimeters tall, and because it's very exaggerated in terms of design, it astonished the archaeologists who unearthed this piece 30 years ago. You can see that the eyes are popping out, and the ears are holding out in the air. So right now we have many different interpretations about this design. Some people believe that the Sanxingdui people, they had a lot of worship on eye signs, and some believe this is the image of the ancient Shu king, and some believe that the ancient Shu king is just in such an image, and because right now we have unearthed a lot of similar pieces, and all of them have the eyes popping out. And we have another bronze facial mask here, and this is slightly different from the one we just saw, and according to the archaeologists, and this one is wearing makeup when it was unearthed. So it's truly very innovative and artistic. And also we unearthed a bronze vessel in Sanxingdui, which carries a very special pattern. And you can take a look at the photo on the left. You can see that the eyes are popping out, And we have very big and curved ears, and this reminds people of the shape of eagle and catbird. And in the Fuhao tomb in Yin ruins of Henan province, we excavated a lot of shapes resembling eagles. For example, you can take a look at the photo on the right. This is also resembling a catbird or an eagle, according to archaeologists. These two, they look different, but they both represent the image of eagles. And actually, this is very common in the Shang dynasty. In China's Central Plain area, we have unearthed a lot of similar bronzeware, and we have to go to the Yin ruins. So Yin ruins is the place of the capital city of Shang dynasty, and the Yin ruins attested to the fact that there is this Shang kingdom, and it also unveiled the brilliant civilization of Shang dynasty. We have a team that is working in Yin ruins, and now let's get connected to reporter Wang. Hi, tell me what is happening there. All right, I'm at the Yin Ruins Museum. You are all very familiar with that, and it's a World Cultural Heritage, and the full name of this museum is the Yin Ruins Ancient Temple Museum. From the name, you can see that this is a place for sacrificial ceremonies in Shang dynasty. You may believe that there are no tombs, but in 1976, the Central Academy of Science had a team who discovered the difference about the color of soil layers, and it's very solid and very hard. And then the researcher continued with his work, and he continued digging up, and when it reached 9 meters deep, he discovered a cluster of tombs, and those tombs belonged to the Shang dynasty. And this is a very significant discovery because this is the only tomb cluster that is very well reserved for the royal family from Shang dynasty, and also this is the only tomb cluster whose owner can be identified by Chinese jiagu character or tortoise bone character. So Fuhao, let me tell you something about the Fuhao tomb. According to the bone character, she was the wife of a local king, and she was a female general who fought on the battleground. On the other hand, she was working as a master of ceremony during Shang dynasty. So that is why from her tombs we unearthed a lot of treasures and relics. We uncovered a total of 1,900 pieces, and 458 of them are bronze pieces and bronzeware. We talked about this bird-shaped vessel, and that is very representative and very typical, and it's carrying the shape and design of eagle. And for Xiaozun, we unearthed one pair of sets, and one is kept in the National Museum, and the other is kept in the Henan Provincial Museum. And now at this Yin Ruins Museum, we do not have the actual piece and artifact, but we have a photo. Let me give you a quiz. What comes into your mind at first sight? So maybe later we can have a discussion about this first sight impression. We really have uncovered a lot of artifacts from the Yin ruins. A lot of them are very representative, and this one is the bronze rectangular pottle. And both pottle and vessel, they are used to carry wines. And if you look at this pottle, it's very exaggerated, and it also carries very delicate patterns. And let me tell you that the four points and four edges are attached with four bird-shaped designs. And why I call them birds? Because it carries wings. If you look up, you will find out that these birds are quite different from the birds that we now see. And you can see that the mouth is not pointed, it's not very long, and also at the head we have horns, and the horns are quite different. And if you look at the body of the bird, it's not like a bird, and it's more like an animal, and that is why we call it a guanjiao. So maybe it's just a imaginary bird, imaginary animal, an imaginary shape that combines many different animal shapes. And if you look down, you will see an area that is popping out, and this is the dragon pattern, and we can see this dragon head that is popping out. So if you look at the horns of the dragon, it's not pointed, and it's almost a cylinder shape. If you look at the central part of the body of the dragon, and you can see very delicate patterns, and at the feet of the dragon, you can see some very typical dragon patterns. So I have just introduced the image of 4 different animals, and those animals, they don't exist in reality. They're not typical animals that we now see, and so this is the concept put forward by Li Zihou. And this is a abstract artistic animal shape, and it brings you this very solid strength, and it's very sacred when you look at the animal. And this is an imaginary animal, and it represents something that goes beyond the human world. It may represent power, it may also represent God and some other mythology. And so I ask you, what is your first sight impression looking at the Xiaozun or the bird-shaped vessel? You may think it's adorable, and just like Li Zihou has mentioned, this is something unreplicable, and this is a feeling that cannot be copied by looking at some other objects and other shapes. And this is an ancient style of beauty. And if you compare to the objects that we unearthed in Sanxingdui, and in Sanxingdui, of course, we have some unique shapes and designs, but if we look at the artifacts from Sanxingdui from this perspective, you can identify a lot of similarities, because in a lot of the bronze wares that we unearthed from Sanxingdui, they also carry a lot of imaginary, those virtual figures that they have in their imagination. And if we look at those objects in today's perspective, they also look very adorable and very cute. So this is the art, and this is the concept of beauty and aesthetics existed 3,000 years ago. So by simply giving it a glance, you will find how beautiful and how attractive they are. Thank you very much. And I believe from those objects we can feel how brilliant the ancient culture is. And also from those bronzeware, you can feel the connection between the culture in Central Plain area and also in Sanxingdui. Stay tuned. Through our program and through our introductions, I believe you have gained some rudimentary understanding about the Sanxingdui cultural relics, and so some new progress has been made in Sanxingdui, and now let's bring you there. So let me hand it over to my colleague Guangquan. All right, just now we brought you on a tour to the 6 pits, some of them unveiled to the public for the first time, and some of them have been half finished and half excavated. And now we're gonna go back to the, now we're gonna have Dr. Wang Wei at the studio to introduce to you the progress that we have made. And we have just covered all these 6 pits. Tell me what new expectations you hold on the discoveries going forward. Well, I believe that the human figure and the human figure sitting on the altar, those 2 pieces discovered from pit number 3 are very valuable. And also at pit number 5, we identified another golden facial mask. Are there other golden pieces? And also at pit number 8, what are the other bronze wares to be uncovered? And we have a lot of expectations. So with these expectations, let's go to pit number 3 and number 4. First, number 3, we are going to extract this very large bronze vessel, and we saw that a while back. It has a very big opening, and we have 2 staff standing at the hovering platform, and they are attaching a layer of plastic to the surface. So because this is a metallic piece,
so in a traditional way, so you have to put some sort of cloth attached with it, or like thin film, and then you have to put a box to cover it up, and to put cement, and to get this out. And this time we are having a new way to collect all of these relics. We will use the 3D printing technology. We will look at the size of the bronze vase, and also we will create a model. It's actually a tailor-made protective film to cover this bronzeware, and the last stage is to fill in with the cement. So this is a very innovative way to collect some of these bronzeware. So first, you can see the archaeologists, they are trying to wrapping up some of the bronzeware and also the elephant tusk. So this will better preserve these relics. So what you have just mentioned is like the way how we make the bronzewares. So first you make a model, and then you fill in some of the cements. And basically you are actually just creating a model. And this time we are filling inside of the silica gel to make it more solid. For the bronzeware, people may think it is very hard on the surface. However, these relics has been buried underground for thousands of years, so it's very fragile right now. We have to be very careful to handle all of these bronzeware. So even though you could see some of these bronzeware are covered with dirt and earth, so we will not scrap or clean all of this dirt right now. So when we are collecting the relics, shall we carry all the earth inside of these vases? Yes, we have to bring those earths all together, because it's very difficult to handle this bronzeware inside of the pit. We have to bring some of these relics inside of our workshop. So for some of these relics, it's very heavy. It's about like 500 kilograms. So we will have a hoisting machine to hoist up all of these relics, and also we need to make sure that the environment is moisture, especially for the elephant tusk and the ivories. We need to protect them not to be damaged. And in the ruins, and actually we use to have the hoisting machine to bring a horse carriage out of the ruin. And also it is the same way that we collect other treasures in different ruins. And I think this time we have very good environment, because this time we have built the excavation shelter. So we are bringing in the laboratory inside of the shelter. It's quite innovative for the excavation work. Because in the past, we need a hoisting machine to collect all of those relics and then to send them to the laboratory. It takes a longer time. And this time, I think after we collect these relics, it will instantly be brought into the laboratory. In the past, during the transportation, there may be some damage to the relics. And this time, as we just set up the laboratory inside of the excavation shelter, it is convenient for us to clean all of those relics. So here you could see we have this elevating platform. People can operate on top of this elevating platform. So this is a very innovative way, and we would not have this kind of technology back in 20 years ago. So right now they're protecting the elephant tusk. I think it still takes some time for them to bring all of these relics on the ground. At the same time, we are building the 3D models at the same time. All right, so let's move to the number 4 pit to see what happened there. I believe they're trying to collect the tablet. Well, you could see this pit is filled with elephant tusk. We cover all of those elephant tusks. So for the J tablet, I believe it is burned because we do see some marks of black inks. And this is the J tablet. And for the other relic, it's well preserved because from the color, it looks quite good. Actually, the J tablet, it's a ritual object. So it is found from the Changjiang River region civilization. So at the beginning, we found the jade bracelet, and then the people are used the jade to make this kind of jade tablet as a sacrificial vessel or a ritual object. So especially we are able to find this kind of tablet inside of the ancient tombs. So from the screen, you could see what happens inside of the pit. We're actually using a very advanced technology to work on this live coverage. Now you could see the archaeologists, they are trying to clean the dirt of the J tablet. And also we are able to look at the details inside of the pit. I think this live coverage is quite amazing because the camera can rotate 360 degrees, so you could pay attention to each corner of the sacrificial pits. So this actually shows the advanced technology used by CCTV. Right now we are doing the live coverage, but of course we do not want to affect the progress of the excavation. All right, now we are able to collect these J tablets. So we could see the archaeologist is trying to hold this tablet with her hands. And then we put it on a plate. And then we will move this out from the shelter excavation site, and then we will move this piece of relic to the laboratory for further observation. Now we could see our staff from the laboratory is taking over the J tablet. This kind of tablet is very popular in Shang Dynasty, and also we also found this kind of tablet in the middle stretch of the Liangzhu River. And also we are able to find some of these tablets in the Shang and Xia dynasty. And even though we may not see many of the tablets in the Central Plain civilization, but in the Yin ruins, we were able to find over tens of tablets. So we believe these tablets are actually coming from the Shang dynasty. So from the development of the J tablet, we could see there may be some shift of the power of the ancient times, and also we could see the integration of the civilization. And yes, for the Chinese civilization, it is quite diverse. And we are actually integrating different kind of civilization. And also we will see the ancient Shu civilization is very open and inclusive. And actually it has a lot of exchanges with other civilization, and they also form their unique culture and unique civilization. For example, they have this jade tablet, which represents the era of the Shang Dynasty, and also the ancient Shu kingdom also have its own feature. It has created some of the bronze trees and the bronze tablets, and also some of the bronze ware. So right now we have completed the handover of the jade tablets, and then they will bring these tablets into the laboratory. So now you could see for the laboratory and the excavation site, it is quite close. So for the working staff, they don't even need to step out of the excavation site to do the research. Right now, we have just collected the jade tablet. The archaeologist has sent this tablet into an organic laboratory. And in this area, we would further analyze and preserve the jade, the potteries, and other kinds of treasures. And right now, we actually continue to analyze the elements of the tablets. And we are using the microscope to observe the surface of the jade tablets to see whether there are some of the marks or some of the cracks on the surface of the tablets. Of course, they will also pay attention to the ornaments of the tablet. If the surface is not flat, it's very difficult to get an understanding of these tablets. However, this kind of microscope is very advanced. We can take photos from different angles, and then we could see a clear picture of these jade tablets. And right now, the archaeologists, they are using this microscope for the observation of the jade tablets. It is very important for us to look closer to the tablet. It will actually provide some information for our staff to restore these relics later on. And also, we could use this microscope to take some photos of these tablets. So it is very important for us to use the microscope. And also through the microscope, we could see what's the condition of the surface of the jade tablet. So with your observation, how do you feel? So what is the condition of the surface of the jade tablet? So right now, if we look at the surface, there's no cracks, but maybe there are some small scratches on the surface of the tablet. We need to pay attention to whether there is a trace of silk on top of the jade tablet. Not yet. So right now, we have sent this tablet into the laboratory. So the first step is to have some observation of the tablet. And later, we will send this tablet to a restoration workshop for further investigation. Back to you, Guangquan. All right. We have just seen some of the excavation work in the number 3 and 4 pits. Well, this is our special coverage on the new discoveries of the Sanxingdui site. We are going back to our Beijing studio. So we are joined by an expert, Jinsha, from the Peking University. We will continue to analyze some of the new discoveries from the Sanxingdui site. And we have just seen, right now we are trying to collect a large bronze vase from Peak 3. So actually back in 1986, we are able to excavate a great number of the bronze wares. So can you tell us the features of the relics coming from the Sanxingdui as compared to the in ruins? Actually, there are some similarities between these relics. For example, if we look at the vase, you can see we are quite round on the opening and also quite tall. And these are the common features. And for Sanxingdui relics, some of them may have the pattern of beasts or animals and also some birds. And I believe these features are quite common in Sanxingdui as well as the Yin ruins. However, there may be some differences. For the Sanxingdui civilizations, for most of the bronze wares, we rarely see those patterns in the Central Plain civilization. For example, the bronze trees and the bronze face mask. We don't have this kind of relics in the Central Plain civilization. So they have similar kind of the relics, but maybe the style and the patterns are quite different. For example, in the vessels discovered from the Sanxingdui site, they have the shape of birds or divine beasts. So if we compare the bronzeware of Sanxingdui site and the Yin ruins, as these two periods are quite close, but still there are quite differences because they belong to different civilizations. And also in number 4 pit, we can see we're able to collect one of the J tablets, and we are sending this tablet to a laboratory. We all know that tablet is quite unique to the downstream of the Yangtze River civilization. So where did this tablet come from?
So was that a replicate or was that original in Sanxingdui? So this is a very good question. Indeed, the jade tablet is very typical in both civilizations, but Liangzhu civilization is 1,000 years before the Sanxingdui, and so Liangzhu civilization was at the New Stone Age, and it was in China's Xia dynasty, and the Sanxingdui is roughly in China's Shang dynasty, so there is a time difference of 1,000 years. So it's almost impossible for the jade tablet to go from Liangzhu to Sanxingdui directly. So where does it come from? Jade tablet has a lot of significance in terms of archaeology because we have found a lot of jade tablets in many other excavations. Some of the research shows that Sanxingdui was not a result of the Liangzhu culture, and it's more of the Shijia culture because the two are very close in geological spatial relationships, and maybe there's more connection between Sanxingdui and Shichu. So talking about jade templates in Jinsha cultural relic, we unearthed a very delicate jade tablet, and now let's get connected to Jianglin, who is a CMG journalist. So hi Jianglin, tell us about the jade template that is unearthed from Jinsha cultural relic sites. Welcome to the Chengdu Jinsha Cultural Relic Museum, and I heard the conversation that is going on in the studio. We know that golden or the jade tablet is very important, and I'm right now at the relics piece room of the museum, and let's bring in front of the camera some of the jade templates, and let me show to all the viewers what you have been talking about and what are the cultural signals that we can learn from those jade tablets. So tell me how important is this one. This is a national treasure, and you can see it's very big, and it might be the biggest jade piece that we excavated from Shang dynasty. So in ancient times, jadeware, the larger it is, the more important it is, and we jokingly say that this belongs only to the royal family, and it was only transferred here today a minute ago from your warehouse and in the Beijing studio, and they say that jadeware has evolved into many different styles with the passage of time. And let me ask you a question on behalf of our audience. Are they the same? Well, I think the jade comes from the same place. So it has to be inscribed by the local craftsman. So what are the difference between these two jadewares? So they're different in size. For this one, you can see many delicate patterns, and at every corner we have very delicate patterns. And this one, but that one is slightly lower. So from these two pieces, you can see they are in two distinct styles. I believe that the bigger one is copying or mimicking the design of Liangzhu, but the lower one is mimicking the Qijia culture. And this is also more commonly seen among the cultural relics unearthed from Shang Dynasty. And we see that the pathway to the ancient Shu country is very difficult to walk. And at the studio of Beijing, another question was asked about the jade tablet, about the jade piece. I cannot let you see the actual piece, but we have a photo here. But this is different in terms of color. What are the other differences? It's different in terms of fabric, and you can see that this one is not very. This one is giving you this warm color, and it's very delicate, and it's very thin and skinny and tall, and at every curve and corner you see those very tiny lines piling up one above another. So this is very sophisticated, and they are attaching a lot of inscriptions at the both sides of every corner. At the top we have the sophisticated pattern, and at the bottom we have a mouse-shaped pattern. Let me ask you another question, and maybe we can regard it as an open question. Liangzhu culture was 1,000 years away from the Sanxingdui culture, and they are quite distant from one another. But this one is excavated from Jinsha, and this one is from Liangzhu. So what is your take on this? In Jinsha, we have unearthed 3,000 jade pieces and 27 jadeware, but it's only this one that is carrying a different style. So that is why we believe it came from the Liangzhu civilization, the Liangzhu area. So that is why a lot of the viewers are asking questions, and this is a jade piece that is 1,000 years earlier than Jinsha culture. How come it's ended up in the Chengdu plain? And find its home in the hometown of Dufu and Libai. So it was maybe buried underground at a very major ritual ceremony. And thousands of years later, it was unearthed, and that's how it unveiled itself to the public. So we started today's program with jade tablets and jadeware, and it shows that the ancient Shu civilization is quite independent. But this being said, at the time there were a lot of cultural communications between different regions in China. Yes, you can see from those jadeware. In the Bronze Age, there's a lot of cultural communications at the different streams of the Yangtze River. And also the smaller jade piece from Qijia culture is also somewhat connected to the Yellow River basin. So I believe this is a place where different cultures meet and collide with each other. So I want to bring you to another piece of relic. So what is this? So we call it the jade stamps, or the jade plates. And they were originated in Shanxi province and then to early Tao cultural relics site. And in Sichuan, at the Sichuan basin, this was truly developed, and in a lot of the places we have unearthed a lot of jade plates, and we have roughly 200 pieces of such relics. It has outnumbered the total of jade plates unearthed nationwide. So it tells you how important it is in ancient ritual ceremonies and sacrificial ceremonies. And another thing that is very important is the jade stamp, and it was also transferred from Chengdu Plains and in Chinese Lancang, and in the northern part of Vietnam, similar objects were also unearthed. So it shows that the other places in China, they were borrowing these culture elements from the Central Plains and also from Sanxingdui. So half an hour ago, we have a new friend at this museum, and if we move a little bit up, you can see that this is resembling the shape of a remote control of a TV, but there is a concaved part at the top. So why do we introduce this? And I heard that at the excavation site of the Sanxingdui, there are similar objects discovered. So this is simply to tell you the connection between Jinsha and Sanxingdui. So what is this for? So you said it very well. It's just like a tool that you use to put on your shoes. At the very beginning, it was discovered in the Baodu culture, and in 1986, at page 2, 4 of such pieces were unearthed. But in Jinsha, 70 such pieces were discovered, and it's one very important ritual piece in sacrifice ceremonies in China's past. In Yunnan, Guangxi, and in areas that borders Vietnam, we have a lot of similar artifacts, which has become a cultural ambassador that is enhancing the tie between China and its neighboring civilizations in ancient times. Thank you very much for your introduction. So in this very short program, I want to tell our audience that jade is something very important to the ancestors of the Chinese. It's also a bridge of cultural communication, and across different civilizations, there's a lot of exchanges, and jade is an ambassador of such communication. And eventually we formulated these big families of the Chinese civilization. All right, this is what we can bring you from the Jinsha Jade Museum. Back to the studio in Beijing. Thank you very much. Jade can be dated back to the Liangzhu culture, which is 5,000 years ago. And the Sanxingdui is 1,800 kilometers from Liangzhu. And there's also a time difference of 1,000 years. So what are the difference of the jade objects found in both places, and what are the similarities? Now let's follow Liang Ye to the Liangzhu Museum, and he can show you the civilization there from 5,000 years ago. So let me hand it over to you, Liang Ye. All right, now let me bring you on a tour of the museum here, and the piece displayed beside me is the jade tablets from the Liangzhu civilization, and this is dating back to 5,300 years to 4,300 years ago, and this jadeware is believed to be the original piece of excavation in Liangzhu. It's one very important piece used in ancient sacrificial rituals, and you can see that in the inner circle we have a concave part, and going outward we have a circled shape of the top. So at the center it's round, and outside it's in rectangular shape, and it tells you the ancient philosophy which believed that the heaven is in round shape and the earth is in rectangular shape. So this is unearthed from a very high level, high class tomb. At the time, it was a very good quality piece of jade, and after 5,000 years, you can still see the glowing color at the surface. And if you look at the four corners and four edges, you will find some very delicate patterns. The patterns are in a shape of human figure and also in animal figure, and they are symmetrical no matter which side you look at it. So another piece beside me is the replica with the proportion of 1:1. So this is the king of jadeware from the Liangzhu civilization. Why this is the king of jadeware? Because if you look at the center, It is only at this place that we are attaching a pattern of human figure and beast figure combination, and this is believed to be very symmetrical and very delicate, and it may seem very small, but if you look at this pattern that we have on the wall, it's a replica, but it's only larger, and this is like a human-faced design, and it's just like a very godly human figure that is wearing a hat made of leather, and in Liangzhu civilization, only the most powerful man have the right to wear such hat. So this also represents power, and at the bottom of this hat you can see a very abstract image of animal. You can take a look at the eyes and the teeth and also the horns of the bird. So you can see that the ancient Liangzhu civilization had a lot of imaginations. That's how they come up with this very artistic design, and it tells the ancient religious belief of the Liangzhu people. And this figure is very commonly seen on the jade wares unearthed in this place. So it's very delicate that they can come up with such sophisticated pattern on such a small piece of jade. So they're using a lot of some stone tools to inscribe such patterns on the surface of the jade.
And then it will make the emblem much more enriched. And if you look at these kind of jade ware, just for 1 millimeters, and then you could carve like 6 lines. So that can show the high level of craftsmanship of the Liangzhu civilization. For this kind of jade piece, it represents the power of God. And also we have different kind of jade tablets, and also shows the power of military and authority. For example, this one is another a round shape jade piece, and for the texture, it's very refined, and also it coming from the tomb of the ancient times. If you look at this round shaped jade tablet, and also it have a special symbol. If you look closer of the patterns, you could see there is a bird standing on top of the platform for a sacrificial ceremony. Actually, the image of bird is frequently shown in the Liangzhu civilization, because in the Liangzhu civilization, bird connects the earth and the heaven. So actually it shows the worship from the ancestors to the birds and the nature. So when we look at all of these different jade pieces, actually there may be some minor differences. For example, if we found some of the tombs have many jade pieces, meaning that the deceased ancestor may have a higher level of ranking. For the Liangzhu civilization, it could be dated back to like 5,000 years ago. And for the past thousands of years, we are moving along with the change of the civilization. And some of the culture represented by the jade tablet, and this culture has been passed from the Yangtze River region and to the Sichuan province and even Guangdong province. The jade culture covers half of the China and also have a significant impact of the Chinese civilization. For many treasures excavated, we do see different kinds of jade pieces. So that is the live coverage from the Liangzhu Museum in Hangzhou. Back to you. Thank you for your introduction. Thank you. For the Sanxingdui sites and the Liangzhu civilization, they are located in around the Yangtze River region, and they are using the treasures to connect the civilization, even though they're distance over 1,800 kilometers, but still, with jade, we are able to connect the different kinds of the civilization. But how the jade tablets have been passed on to the Sanxingdui, we still need some investigation. But this is still the charm for the archaeology, and we'll always have new surprises. So for the surprises and the outstanding achievements from Sanxingdui sites, it's not just limited to the jade tablets. We also have different kind of jade pieces and the jade wing and also the jade dagger axe. So these are all the jade pieces from Sanxingdui site. And actually for all of these treasures, they are telling the stories and their connection with other civilization. So first, let's take a look at this one. In Chinese, it's called zhang. Also, it is also a kind of jade tablets. And if we look at closer of the tablets, we have different patterns and motifs. It's quite symmetrical. We have mountains. We have a priest or wizard. And people were, according to the expert, they're saying maybe it is capturing a ceremony activity back in the ancient time. For Sanxingdui people, they're actually using jade to pass down their civilizations. If we extend our scope beyond the Chengdu plain, we will see actually jade can appear in different places in China. So first, the jade has the character in the Shang dynasty, and also we have this character jade in Chinese words, and actually it is a word that carry all the blessings in Chinese. For example, we have different words that comprise the character jade. So in the vast land of Chinese civilization, we will see jade has a very high level of ranking. So when we go back to our studio, so we will go back to Professor Lei. So first I would like to talk about the history and the origin of the character Yu, jade. So we always say that we can use the jade to create the 6 types of the ritual objects. So we always talk about the importance of jade. When we talk about the culture of Jinsha site and also the jade coming out from the Sanxingdui site, and also we have a lot of jade ware coming out from the Liangzhu culture, Liangzhu civilization. What does that mean? Do you think there is some kind of relation between these different nations and civilizations? There are a lot of exchanges between different nationalities, and just as we've seen from the video, in the Sanxingdui site and the Jinsha relic site, we found different kinds of the jade tablets. It shows that there must be some connection between these 2 kinds of civilization. In Sanxingdui site, especially in the moon-shaped bay, we also have a tablet unearthed with the pattern of humans. And actually, if we look at the shape of the human, and actually it is similar to the tablet that we found from the Yangtze River region. So that must have some connection of the civilization. I believe jade have a great impact to these different kinds of civilizations. And one thing I want to point out is for the Sanxingdui civilization, it actually absorbed different elements of civilizations. It is not an alien civilization. It is not coming from outside. I believe the Sanxingdui civilization shares the same origin of the Chinese civilization. We always say the path to the ancient Shu kingdom is difficult, but still we would say for different kinds of civilizations, they share the same origin. And today, through our live coverage, we are giving you the latest updates about the excavation site. Right now, our reporters are still following the archaeologists for the excavation work happening in the evening. Let's take a look. If you look at the moisture, it's very high percentage and quite moisture in this area because we need to adjust the temperature and the moisture level to protect all of these relics. So for this pit, you could see it is filled with ivory. So we have like 37 elephant tusks. Because for this tusk, it is covered with dirt. For the archaeologists, it feels like they're digging a coal pit. So they're very dirty because inside of the pit, there are so many dust. So if you look at this one, it's much better than the pit number 4. We have everything inside of this pit. And some of these relics are quite peculiar, but also very delicate. And for this one, it's very large in size, about 70 centimeters. And this is a vase with a round shape and also in a square shape. So we think, according to our history, if we have the vase with a rectangular shape, meaning that those who are using this kind of vase have a very high status in the nation. I think for the ancient people, they will make everything they want. For example, this one, we have a human figure kneeling on a platform and also holding a vase. We used to excavate similar kinds of figure before, but it's very small in size. So it's just look like this and holding the vase on top of my head. And also they are putting their hands in front of them. And for this kind of figures, they have been staying underground for over thousands of years. And now we're ready to bring it back on Earth. So why we need to cover so many plastic film? This is because we want to better protect all of these burial objects to make sure the conditions inside of the pit is suitable to preserve all of those relics. So welcome back to our special coverage on the new discoveries in the Sanxingdui site. So back in 1986, we are able to unearth over 400 relics from 2 sacrificial pits. And for some of these relics, they're different in the shape and also they have different characteristics. And let's take a closer look on those relics. Actually, it's quite different from the relics that we have excavated this time. So let's compare what we have in the 2 different pits, number 1 versus number 2. So the most popular one that is coming out from the pit 1 is actually a golden rod. It actually represents the power. If we look closer on the pattern of the rod, we have the fish and also we have the bird. Some people are saying maybe it represents the youthful king of the ancient Shu kingdom. Let's take a look at this one. This is a very representative bronzeware. It is a bronze statue figure, and some people are saying for this standing figure, it represents the god and also represents the power. And now let's take a look on the bronzeware. In pit number 1, we have 14 bronzewares, and we have 52 from pit number 2. And the most signature one is the bronze figure with the golden mask. And also we have some bronze face mask. We have 2 in pit number 1 and 32 in pit number 2. All in all, we have more bronzeware excavated from pit number 2. We also have the bronze trees and the bronze altar excavated from number 2. And also we have the largest bronze figure excavated from pit number 2. This is the standing figure. So many people have a lot of speculations about the history and the appearance of all of these relics. So go back to pit number 1. Let's look at the golden rod. Maybe you can relate this to the Egyptian culture. And for pit number 2, we have the bronze heavenly tree, and also some bronze altar and bronze sun plate. So a lot of people are guessing what are they representing. And also there are a great number of seashells and also the elephant tusks. And in number 2 pit, we have over 4,600 shells in the pit number 2. In pit number 1, we have some bone crashes in number 1 and also some pieces of potteries. Of course, we are not trying to digging out the treasure in the archaeological work. Back in 3,000 years, there must be some significance for the ancient Shu people to bury all of these relics underground. So we have to better understand the civilization to uncover all of those mysteries of Sanxingdui so that we can carry forward with all of those spirits and civilization. 35 years ago, the gold mask that has been excavated impressed the world. And actually in number 5 pit, we also find a lot of gold relics from number 5. And let's see what we have in number 5 pit and what are some of the restoration work. Now we would like to connect to the Cultural Relic Museum in Sichuan.
Hello, Jinsha. So tell us how you're going to repair this golden facial mask. Thank you for your question. So this is the golden facial mask just unearthed from page number 5, and it has astonished the world. And so I'm only 1 meter away from this golden facial mask. So this is very close distance, and it's truly astonishing. Compared to the previous golden facial mask, you can see it's a lot thicker, a lot heavier, and it's 300 grams, and it's the largest golden facial mask on Earth so far from Sanxingdui, and this is also the largest golden facial mask on Earth nationwide in China. So it's a major discovery in archaeology, and the repairing process would be very lengthy. And this is the first stage of repairing, and what are the future stages of repairing, and what difficulties can they expect? Our archaeologists have been busy repairing this piece, and now let's have a brief interview. So I know that you are still busy with your work, and what are you busy with? We can see that one piece is missing, so which means that there's a lot of difficulties to further repair that. We have to find the missing piece, and also we need to closely observe some of the existing chunk and then put the different pieces together. So where was the golden file discovered? So the one that we are looking at, this is the debris that we found from the nose. And right now we can see that it's quite matching the missing part of the nose. So from this we can make the conclusion that it's part of the golden facial mask. Yes, we can reach that conclusion. And inside this box we can see the nose, the inside of the nose, and also the forehead, and also the eyebrow bone. So these are different parts. Yes, those are a record of the different parts of the golden file, and the inside of the nose is quite similar to what we observe from the screen. And we believe that this is matching the other parts of the golden facial mask. For the other golden file pieces, then they might be from the facial mask, they may not be part of the golden mask. You're right. So we are measuring the thickness, and so we believe that some of these pieces are not relevant to this mask. What are the other findings near the facial mask? So we have one very surprising discovery, is that we have a string of beams, and you can see that of the diameter of 1.8 millimeter, and it's a very small beam. So we are in close contact with the archaeologists. We asked them to pay attention, and maybe they can discover more such beams. So why are you paying so much attention to such a beam, and how relevant this is to the golden facial mask? It may give us two pieces of information, because the beams at the ancient times, in the time of Sanxingdui, and during the same period, there were similar discoveries in the ancient Rome period and also in the two river basins in Middle East. And so if we could find some similarity between these two different discoveries, and there is a lot of connection that we can draw. And you can see that the surface is not very flat and smooth. So it's quite different from the surface of the golden facial mask. So if it is used for ornament purposes, then it will be further polished. So that is why we believe it can be used for different purposes. And we believe that maybe it was naturally formed when the golden facial mask was welded, because we have only found two such beams. So what are the future researches that you are going to do? So we have to find all the remaining pieces, and then we have to match all the pieces together, and we hope that it's a whole fresh new golden facial mask. So for our repairing work, we will definitely encounter a lot of difficulties. And also there are maybe some parts that are still missing, and we want to present the whole piece to the public. All right, thank you very much for your introduction, and after that you will know that the repairing is a very lengthy process, and we hope that in this round of archaeological excavation we can continue astonish the country with more discoveries, so that our experts, they can recover and repair those pieces and present them to the public. With their expertise and with modern technology, I believe that those ancient artifacts will unveil their original look to the public. Of course, we have the same hope from the studio, and truly this round of excavation shows that no matter it is archaeological research or repairing, we need a lot of patience, and there are some new progresses made at the site. And previously the pit number 3 was in a preparatory stage, and now let's get connected to the studio on site. So Guangquan, tell us the latest. Thank you very much, and now let's move to the studio we have here on site. I'm joined by Professor Wang Wei to report to you the latest about pitch number 3 and number 4. So what you now see on the screen is the structure under the roof. This is pitch number 3. So this is a 3D printed object. So this is a 3D printed protective gum. So we have to put it on top of the object. So this is a new technology. And it's also the first time that we are using this technology, and so it's very soft and it matches perfectly with the object inside the pitch. And so this is the gel that they are sticking to the head of this object in a pitch, and you can see that they match perfectly. So on top of the pitch, we have a 3D printed silicon gel, and we are cutting it into different pieces. So this is like making a mold and attaching it to the object that we have unearthed. Truly, this is perfect protection of the artifact. And it's also sticky, and it can be perfectly attached to the surface of the object. So from the silicon gel, we can imagine a shape of the vessel. So this is the operational platform that is hovering above the bottom of the pit. And it can be very exhausting if you work on it because you are crawling on the floor and you sweat because the moisture, the humidity can reach above 80%. So it's a lot of moisture, and the remaining part is to wrap up the bottom. It will be very difficult because we have a broken part. So we have been talking about the bronzeware in Sanxingdui. Some of them are in very strange shape. So this is the gypsum. So this is the result of 3D printing, and we are attaching a silicon gel on top of that, and then we connect different pieces together. So this is 100% identical, and because this is 3D print. Going back to the golden facial mask, and if we put the golden facial mask on the human figure statue, the golden facial mask was just like a result of 3D printing, and if the golden facial mask goes with the human figure statue, imagine there is some technology similar to 3D printing in ancient times. Well, that is a result of punning, and you have to pat the golden foil on the surface of the human figure statue for thousands of times, and then gradually it will come up the exact shape of the face. So now let's move on to pit number 4 and the excavating the ivory. So the wrapping that up with a plastic film. Just now we saw a independent ivory because we have to pick them up one by one. So now it's fully wrapped. The excavation of ivory is the most challenging because it entails a lot of very sophisticated work. 35 years ago, we accumulated a lot of experience in that round of excavation. So first we need to attach a plastic, attach a layer of cloth that is very soft, because that can maintain the moisture of the ivory, because it can be very crispy and it can easily break into different pieces. Is it possible that inside the ivory we can still see the white color? Well, that's hard to say because it can be, and we have to add some water to the cloth layer. You can see that it's very meticulous, very delicate. Each and every step requires a lot of labor work. And because at pitch number 3, the ivory is actually the top layer, we have to unearth the ivory layer first, because all the ivory, they are on top of one another, they are over one another, so it's very difficult to take them up. So some background knowledge, maybe there are a lot of wild guesses, and some say that the ivory came from foreign trade with Western Asia. And some say that 3,000, 4,000 years ago in Chengdu, there are elephants. So which one do you turn to believe? Well, I believe they are from locally, and those elephants, they were living in Sichuan province. Because in China's Yin ruins in Henan province, we also had some similar ivories, and 3,000 years ago, the climate in the Yellow River Basin was similar to the Yangtze River Basin right now. And right now, the Yangtze River Basin is featuring a similar temperature like in Henan 3,000 years ago. So in the ancient Shu country, it's highly likely that there lived some elephants. So if we trade, it's not possible that they only buy some small ivory. And I heard that in page number 2, there is a bronzeware unearthed, and there is a elephant trunk. So it shows that the ancient Shu people, they had some close contact with the elephants lived here. And also in this place, we also excavated a bronze vessel in the shape of elephants. And we also have vessels in the shape of rhinos. And in Yin ruins of Henan province, there are also the horns of rhinos excavated. So in Sichuan, in the very dense forest, maybe there used to live a lot of elephants because it has the perfect humidity. It's had a lot of forest, so maybe a lot of elephants used to live here. In the Yellow River Basin, maybe there used to live a lot of elephants. So that is the point of archaeological research, because that can change your concept, you change your perceptions, and without this kind of work, people would never know that there used to be elephants in this place of the country. And I believe that with the changing environments, some elephants, they migrated to the south.
So right now we may rarely see some of the elephants in the Sichuan province, but with the archaeological investigation, we found some of the traces of the elephant. So probably back in the ancient times, there is elephant in the Sichuan province. So this is actually the charm from the archaeology. So with the archaeological discovery, we can review some of our history and change some of our mindset. So back to our studio, we could see a lot of the excavation work on site, and actually it drew attention from the public, and many viewers attach great importance to the excavation work, and they have a lot of questions and misunderstandings. And during our excavation, they may want to understand what happened there. For example, we just say maybe in the past we may have some elephants back in the ancient times. So right now is the interaction time. Now let's check out what are the questions from our netizens. So let's look at the big screen. So maybe first let's pick one question. Now we have 4 questions here. So a lot of people are asking whether the Sanxingdui civilization is an alien civilization. Is that so? Well, personally, I don't believe it. People are a lot of saying that the Sanxingdui culture coming from alien world, and they're saying that for some of the statues, they pretty much look like God because they have protruding eyes. But I think for the bronzewares, they are using a very exaggerating way to build out of those bronze. So it is a exaggerated manifestation. It is also exists in the indigenous world. And also for the gold making technology, it is actually quite advanced in China, and it's dated back to the Shang dynasty. So from the technical perspective, it is possible that we have this gold making technology. And even though we have those exaggerating design of the bronzeware, but definitely it is not related to the alien civilization. So for the Sanxingdui civilization, it is not coming out from nowhere. We do have an origin. So for the shape of the bronzeware, for the figures, maybe it does not look like a real human. But I think it is an exaggerated way to build out of those kind of bronzes. So I think that for those bronze figures, they have white eyes and also have some like noses is quite exaggerating. But I think all of those figures are based on the realities. So our answer is Sanxingdui civilization is part of Chinese civilization. It also represents the diversity of the Chinese civilization. Let's see another question of the first question. Why we start the excavation work again? Well, this time we have found 6 pits Actually, for the excavation work after 1986, we continue our excavation. For example, from 2006 to 2018, we have done a lot of excavation work, including the excavation work in the Sanxingdui site. We are able to find some of the city walls and also some of the traces of the palace. For example, we have found like 4 areas of the Sanxingdui site: the residential areas, the palace, and the sacrificial areas. And this time we are able to find 6 pits. So now we are doing the excavation work for these 6 pits. So actually it is a continuation of the excavation work we done previously. And also the third question, a lot of people asking whether we are finding some of the objects that used for daily life. So actually in pit 1 and 2, we are able to unearth hundreds of potteries, and we do see some of the unearthed potteries in the pit 3 and 5, but it is a small number of potteries. So for the palace and residential areas, maybe some people may use some of those potteries, but in the sacrificial area, most of the objects are for sacrificial purposes. All right, due to the limitation of the time, so please stay tuned, and later we will address more questions. And tomorrow we will continue to collect some of the vases. So make sure, please stay tuned with us, and tomorrow we will continue the new discoveries. Thank you very much for your introduction. We are looking forward to the excavation work tomorrow at the Sanxingdui site. And just now, we have seen the functionalities of the modern technology in the excavation work. And this time, for the excavation work in the 6 pits of Sanxingdui site is conducted in the shelter areas. And for each one of the shelter areas, we have the glass rooms, and the archaeologists, they're actually wearing protective suits. This will help us to better preserve the cultural relics and collect more information from the relics. And this time, we will say that we have a precise excavation. We have paid a lot of pay attention to a lot of details for the excavation. For example, when we do the excavation work in pit 4, we actually divided the area into 4 parts, and also we are using the 3D technology to analyze the earth. So we will try to analyze how the ancient Shu people fill in the hole. So we want to understand the formation, how the ancient people fill the pits, whether it is related to the sacrificial activities. And this time for the excavation, because of the contamination, we are not able to collect samples from the earth. But for other pits, we are trying to collect some of the earth, and we will do some flotation analysis and use the microscope to further observe the earth. By doing all of that, it will help the archaeologists to identify the information from the earth. So in pit number 4, we are able to find out some of the information related to the textiles embroidery, because we have observed some of the traces of the silk. At least it is a textile. We are not sure whether it is a silk or brocade, but still we are under preliminary testing time. And we also see some of the bamboo elements inside of the pit number 4. For example, in April, maybe we have some blossom. To some extent, we would say for these 6 pits, maybe happens in spring, probably in April or May. So this is the general direction for us. We will see if we can find out more from these excavation sites. In order to get more information for the excavation work this time, all the archaeologists have to wear the protective suits so as not to contaminate the soil. And this time, we are also using cutting-edge technologies to scan the information for all the soils. So for all the information, we are not just paying attention to the location of the materials or elements. And also, we are putting a QR code to the materials that we are connecting so that we can better locate all of those samples. All right, go back to our studios. Professor Lei. For us, when we are looking at the relics, maybe we are taking a different perspective. We are just using our naked eye to look at these relics, these objects. But for the archaeologists, probably you are using more technologies and equipment to observe all of those relics. I believe you are also paying attention to the surrounding areas of the relics, for example, the condition of the soil and also the location of the relics. So what is the significance? So for the excavation, we are trying to get the information as much as possible. According to our investigation, the soil contains a lot of information. For the general public, maybe you think we are just digging out the earth, digging out the ground for the archaeological investigation, but actually it is a state of art. For the archaeologists, we have to look at the color of the earth so that we can identify the location of the earth. So it feels like each relic we found is just like a page of a book. And each time we are finding out a relic, we will just give a page number for these relics so that we can complete the story. And for some of the earths, there may be some information that we can't observe for later usage. We will analyze the elements and composition of the soil. For some of the organic elements, maybe we could not see it from our naked eye. That's why we have to use the telescope. And we are trying to find out whether there is a traces of silk inside of the soil. So that said, all of the things that we excavated from the pits are all treasures because it captures history. So it is not like we are digging out the treasure for the sake of archaeology. It is just we are trying to uncover the civilization and history. So if we compare the excavation work today with 1986, we think we made a lot of progress. What do you think? You are correct. For the excavation work this time, actually we are working with different departments. We are adopting a open and inclusive philosophy. We have over 30 units work together for the excavation. We are making use a lot of new methods for the excavation. And also we have a different discipline to participate in this work. It is a high quality archaeological excavation. And also we are using a lot of technologies and equipments for the excavation. I would say for the excavation work this time also shows that China is taking an innovative way for the discovery. As a professor in the area of archaeology, I think for the excavation work we conducted this time may attract more young generation to get to understand archaeology so that they are willing to participate into the archaeology work, and we are able to attract more talents. Thank you very much for joining us for this special coverage. And today we have found 6 new pits, and also shows that the phase 2 excavation also impressed the world. And all of these delicate relics brought us back to the Bronze Age, which existed 3,000 years ago. For all the new relics that has been excavated from the Sanxingdui site, they are quite unique and irreplaceable. Because of that, we will review our civilization. Because of them, we will build a connection with the ancient civilization. In 1930s, one of the archaeologists said that doing the archaeology work is not about digging out the treasure. It helps us to better understand our history and to better understand our civilization. We will have a better understanding of history, and this is actually the charm of the archaeology.